GNCC Racing! 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. And we're off into turn number 1. How about it for Johnny Gerard? So Johnny Gerard, welcome to the XC1, brother. He's going to pull the whole shot and the early lead.
Comes, folks, out into the field, on the way through the final turns, head back, chuck in the revies, the crowd's approval. Here it comes, folks. Is it going to be? Are we going to lose a rear fender? There it goes.
There it is.
Kaboom. Seat off, the whole 9 yards.
A rear fender.
Stu Baylor has won the Big Buck GNCC to open the 2023 season.
I need a beer. Let me work on it.
Woo. It was great. I mean, I didn't really see anybody all day, but we had fun. Track was killer. Yeah, no, I think we got in the lead pretty sure on the first lap. I can't even remember. I think, yeah, I got in the lead in the first lap, and I was able to put a gap on the guys really quick, and then just put me in a position where I could ride my own race. So I'm pumped on it.
Brutal. My poor leg was numb the first like 4 laps, and from there the pain set in, and I was just fighting back the tears, just toughing it out, doing what I could. Felt like I was riding super good, and yeah, I don't know how I pulled that off. Not a clue. Me and Ricky, honestly, dude, we were like battling all day, and it was good. Like, I tried to get some passes on him. We get side by side. He'd hold me off, and he had some good lines I learned from him. And once I got around, I felt like, you know, I would pull away. He would catch me kind of a few times, just back and forth, just hounding me. And I was like, damn, bro, just give me a break. But, nah, I stayed tough. Caught Stu when he pit, but by then I was gassed. Just tried to keep her on the track, and yeah, to come away with the podium, it's unreal.
It was gnarly. It was beat. I got really tight at the beginning, so Stu got away, and I was just like, I'm not risking it, throwing it away. Trying to be the older, wiser one, not throw it away. First couple laps, I was really tight, was losing my flow. Ben got around me, and I was able to latch on and just kind of loosen back up. So not bad for breaking my collarbone 4 weeks ago. I'll take it.
Rough day at the office for me. Mediocre start. I got pinched in the first corner and it ripped my hand off and I about went down. Like I was right hand off trying to steer. Went in the woods probably 6th, 7th, and then it was pretty difficult to pass, and everybody was going about the same speed. So Stu got out and gone, and man, I could never get within that 8 or 10 seconds close to the third place. So yeah, Craig got me at the last lap, and he put a charge on, and I just buckled down. It's like stayed on his wheel the whole lap. And I had a spot on the hill. I thought I could pass him, and I was able to get him there, and then he was gone. So I'm happy with 4th, but we got some work to do.
Pretty good. Just kept charging all day, you know. Pushed the whole way, and I was good, like top 3, and then I had a little bobble, went back to like 6th, I think, and then I was like, it was hard to pass, and those boys were going fast all day, but luckily I made it happen. Everybody was going fast today. They were riding good. Yeah, thank you.
Boys, have you had fun out here at Big Buck today? We had great racing, sun up to sundown, guys. Amateur racing, and you guys, what a show to close it off with. Going to be grabbing a word here in just a second.
GNCC makes its return to the sands of Florida, Palatka, Florida, for the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Arguably one of the toughest races all season long. You've got the sand whoops, you've got the palmettos that reach up and grab you, and oh yeah, you got some competition out there. Stu Baylor coming off the big win at Big Buck GNCC to open the season, looking to make it 2 in a row here today, but there are some riders out there who have something to say about that. Now, a few nursing injuries. Will that be a factor, or will they let it all hang out here in Florida? Ben Kelly, Ricky Russell rounding out the box. The defending champ, Jordan Ashburn, finishing just off the box. He's got to get himself in the fight. I think we see that here today. All that and more starts now on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racer!
Good afternoon and welcome to round number 2 of the 2023 Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized, an AMA National Championship. We have returned to the sands of Florida, Palatka, Florida, for this, the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. And Johnny, one day in the books, Sunday, we knock a couple wheels off. We're going 2-wheel racing. We're coming off a great round at Big Buck.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the hype is real coming in for this one. So many surprises at Big Buck. When you say surprises, sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same. Obviously, it was maybe a lot of people wouldn't have predicted the podium and the way it panned out, but, you know, all the heavy hitters were up there.
Two guys on two new bikes, not necessarily new to them, kind of new old bikes, if you will. But I'm with you. I mean, kind of a surprise. And what was interesting going into Big Buck, because we know how it went the last couple of seasons, every single pro we talked to said, I just want to go out and see the checkered flag. And I got a feeling, something tells me Florida's going to be different. It's like, okay, survived round one, time to go to war.
I agree completely. I mean, coming into Big Buck 2 weeks ago, there was really that sentiment within the XC1 bike guys of just trying to get through the race. We saw so many heavy hitters out at round one last year. The landscape of the class changed so much. It was really important for those guys just to get through, get some points, and live to fight another day, if you will. Now they've all gotten through that. They've kind of got their legs under them, and they realize where they rank. And most of them, with the exception of Stu, everyone else wants to move up the ladder.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously, like you said, Stu Baylor coming off the win at home, call it home for him in Big Buck. Ben Kelly right there, Ricky Russell right there, both made it on the box, both still nursing injuries too.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of those guys coming in a little bit winged, if you will. You know, Ricky with the collarbone surgery, I think it was a mere 3 weeks before, maybe 4 weeks before round one there. And then Ben Kelly coming in, re-injuring that leg that had taken him near a year to heal from at the Enduro round one. Was a question mark up until my understanding midday Saturday. Had actually said, I don't know if I can do this. I just don't think I'll be able to even finish the race. Here we got a guy that was talking about not being able to finish the race, going out. Once he actually got going, you know, he said it in the post-race interviews. He said, hey, once I realized I'm going to do this, I'm going to finish. He said, if I'm going to go through this pain, I want to make it worthwhile. Coming out P2, at one point had Stu in his sights. About 2 hours in, said it was just a little too much, and he realized, hey, P2 for the day, I'm going to settle. But, hey, settling for P2 on a day like that, and same, Ricky Russell coming in, big question mark, right there, running up front for a little bit early, and then, you know, P2, P3 the rest of the day, back and forth with Ben, and both of those guys were just warriors.
An incredible day of racing. We got more in store for it today. Johnny, as always, we had some great racing in the XC2. Ryder Lafferty grabbing the class win.
Yeah, you know, Ryder, and he was kind of, for me, a big surprise. I knew he was prepared, but I didn't know if he would be ready to come out swinging at round one. He's a rider that normally warms up to things, and no, he came and just kind of throughout much of the day really didn't lead at all, just let the race come to him. Felt like at the end of the race, obviously, he had a little more pace than Lyndon did. He struck, was able to get the lead. Really, only time he led all day was when it counted right at the finish line.
He saw the checkers first. It's all that mattered. Lyndon Snodgrass, a solid day for him, but I got to think Snodgrass, the defending champ, he wants that center of the box position.
You got to, and not to make a big thing about the Aussie thing, because I know he is obviously has been here 3 years now, or this is his third year, but man, he's an Aussie. Those guys are absolutely gnarly in the sand.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, this is what they ride. I feel like if Lyndon is really going to kind of retake the point position in that class, take control of it, say, hey, this is my championship, you're going to have to come get it. Important for him to get the win here this weekend.
That's a very good point.
And very possible that he will. He's very strong.
Yep, that's it. Gus Reardon rounded out that box with a third place. Saw a good day from Rui Barbosa, but I think if you were to ask Rui, and we will, not satisfied with that finish. Good points day, sure, but he feels he needs to be on the box every week.
I think we could put him in that learning category. That's the most we've seen Rui up front. You know, he wanted that point position early, took the lead, fought for it, and really just kind of charged. Eventually the race got away from him just a little bit, but still a solid finish for him. And yeah, I think we'll see more of the same for him when it's time to go racing today.
Love it. And then finally the FMF XC3, the 125 Pro-Am class. Toby Cleveland put a hurting on these guys a couple of weeks ago. Is he the fastest man, Johnny Gallagher, on a 125 in the XC3 that we've ever seen? Is it too soon to tell?
I mean, that we've ever seen, that would be a big claim, but he surely took the, took the reins at the first race. I mean, I think at one point was up into 12th overall for a couple of laps. I mean, that's pretty solid given the stacked XC1 and XC2 classes we have. I don't know where he ended up out. I think it was outside the top 20 overall. I believe so, at the end.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, a commanding win in that XC3 class. And yeah, I mean, if he can repeat that effort here, we got to start talking championship for him.
Yep. Hey, talk the talk, walk the walk. But all those other guys in the XC3, they hear this, they're listening, they're watching, they're coming for Toby Cleveland today. Well, hey, you've heard from us. We want to get that rider perspective. Who is going to challenge Stu Baylor? We had a chance to catch up with one of those guys prior to today's race.
Yeah, like you said, still nursing a bit of an injury, but I'm working through it, doing the best I can, and there were a lot of unknowns for me going into round one, but I pulled off a good result, and I'm super pumped on that. Had some good battles for that second place spot with Ricky Russell, and like you guys saw on the live feed, they caught the pass on the drone, which was pretty cool. And yeah, that section about a little after mile 1 is there are a few lines there that kind of zigzag back and forth, and for the most part, they're all about the same speed. So to make a pass there is tricky, especially when both guys are the same speed for the most part. But I think there was a lapper a little ahead of him, and I decided to take an alternate line, and yeah, I don't know, I just charged it a little harder, made it happen, and yeah, in person I didn't think we were that close, but when I watched it back I was like, man, he about ran into the back of me. But it's all good, and it's fun to do battle like that, and I'm excited to be back at the races and putting in some good results for the team.
All right, we have the rider's perspective now. It's going to be an exciting day of racing here in Florida. We've heard from Johnny and I. We've heard the rider's perspective. Now let's see what we have in store as far as the track is concerned. We'll throw it to Jared Bolton with the Yamaha track description.
Well, thanks. And boy, look at that sun beating down. It is awesome to be back here in sunny Florida. This race, you come here, you know what to expect. It gets a little whooped out. It gets a little rough. All right, maybe I'm sugarcoating it a little bit. It gets really rough, especially as the weekend wears on. But when you get back out on the backside, we got some special stuff for the bike guys. It's a little bit harder pack. You get some roots in there. It keeps the sand a little bit tighter. Really fun stuff. This is a little bit faster course in places, but it tightens up. You know, we've raced in Florida for a lot of years. We've been here longer than any other Florida course, but this one is a little bit different. The old school Florida races, they were wide open. You know, lots of field sections, not many woods. This is a lot of woods and not many field sections. So it's a lot turnier. For the quad guys, it gets those deep quad ruts. Really difficult as the race wears on. For the bike guys, it gets whooped out. I mean, we're talking Volkswagen deep whoops. But the beginning of the races are absolutely awesome. If you've never ridden in sand, you're really missing out. Beautiful facility. We keep coming back because this has been the best Florida venue we've ever had. Great to be back. Going to be a great weekend of racing.
Thanks for that track description, Jared. We're going to head over to the starts. Mikey's going to head his way over. We're going to throw you guys to commercial break, and we'll be back with the racing action.
GNCC Racing is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. And I want to welcome everybody out there on RacerTV.com tuning into the broadcast here for round number 2 of the 2023 Grand National Cross Country Race Series presented by Specialized and AMA National Championship here Palatka, Florida for the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Just about got track sweep in from the AM race, so we are about to get things rolling here at the starting line. Just got wrapped up with Ricky Towery's prayer, and I believe DJ Judd, I believe we are ready. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to remove those hats and cross those hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, yeah. All right, all right, all right. Let's get things going here at the Wild Boar GNCC. If that don't give you a whole cold chills, I don't know what does. As we are just about ready now for our pro rider intros. Got a couple of more things we're checking on to ensure we're ready here. So we're still waiting. I think we're waiting on a couple of pro guys to show up down here. But we'll get them here in just a moment. Just about ready here. XC1 Pro class. Do those rider intros for you once we got everybody down here and ready to roll. We'll proceed otherwise. We'll see. I don't know. We're laying in wait. I tell you what, while we're waiting on that till I get the okay, I've got Trevor Bollinger right here. Trevor, powwow with me for a quick second, man. Had a, not 100% heading into round 1. You said, I just want to see the checkers. Wasn't able to happen for you. Had the little mishap there, man. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, like you said, came in not 100%, but wanted to make the most of it, and unfortunately didn't have the best points day at Big Buck, but yeah, we're here, somewhat healthy enough to ride, so I figured I might as well come here and try to get some points, and yeah, looking forward to the day.
There you go, buddy. I'm going to let you get back in focus. Trevor, good to see you out here on the starting line. That is good news. If you are a Trevor Bollinger fan and you were wondering whether or not he was going to be running today, there's your answer. I see the 514 Teely Energy, the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Teely Energy KTM making his way. Big John said, come on, Baylor Heavy. So now I think we are ready. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, give attention to your pro rider introductions. riding to the line first, coming off the big win at Big Buck on the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Teely Energy KTM, Stu Baylor. Riding to the line second, aboard the FMF Factory KTM, the 530 of Ben Kelly. Riding to the line third, rounding out the box a couple of weeks ago at the Big Buck GNCC aboard the Ampro Yamaha out of Duval, Washington, Ricky Russell. Riding to the line next, your 2022 national champ, the #1 Magna 1 Motorsports Husqvarna, Jordan Ashburn. Riding to the line next out of Morgantown, Pennsylvania, aboard a Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, the 342 of Craig DeLong. Riding to the line next, out of South Carolina on a Babbitt's Online, Monster Energy Kawasaki, the 314 of Grant Baylor. Riding to the line next on the Coastal Racing Factory Gas out of Williamstown, West by God, Virginia, the 989 of Bad Thad Duval. Riding to the line next, aboard the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki from Australia, Josh Strang. Riding to the line next, out of Boonville, North Carolina, aboard the FXR-backed Gas ride, the 523 of Lane Michael. Riding to the line next, aboard the FMF Factory KTM, out of Boonville, North Carolina, Johnny Gerard. Riding to the line next, hailing from Canada on a Jet 1 My Pitboard backed gas, Tyler Medaglia. Riding to the line next, the 739 out of Morganton, North Carolina, aboard the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, Trevor Bollinger. Riding to the line next on the number 125 on the Rocky Mountain TV MC Teely Energy KTM, Ben Nelco. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting row for the XC1 Pro class here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. All right, it has reached that point here. DJ Judd gets in that ARM X1000 Yamaha, and we ask DJ Judd, remove the meat. DJ Judd moving the Monster Energy Activation Transport off the starting line, and we are just about ready to get going here with row number 1, as here momentarily, all eyes. Hi, Mama. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. All eyes are going to be focused on Ricky Towery down in turn number 1, as the Maestro will run through his start procedure like a well-oiled machine, man. We got the thumbs up. Monster Energy Activation Transport moves off to the side, and all eyes turn to Ricky Towery as he runs through his start procedure now, as he looks down at the watch and comes forward, and you know what's up. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute until we are Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC racing here. Oh, nothing quite like that sound, baby. We're here for it. We love it. All right, there we go. Blue flags waving. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about set to go now. Shut them down, shut them down. All right, I got to ask you, Palatka, Florida, Wild Boar GNCC, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Oh, that's pretty good, but come on, ladies and gentlemen, it is Bike Week. We are just a stone's throw away from Daytona. We're having our own party here in Palatka, Florida. I'm going to ask you one more time, are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and here we go. Up the inside is Craig DeLong and Ricky Russell duking it out side by side now. Oh, how about that? That's going to go to the 407 on the KTM right there. As we turn our attention now to the XC2 250 Pro class. Ryder Lafferty coming off the big win at Big Buck. He said, I was under the weather. Somehow made it happen. Can he repeat here today in 10 seconds? Rui Barbosa, Angus Reardon, Nathaniel Tasha, Bubs Tasha, Mason Simmons, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, Brody Johnson, Mike Wachowski, Jesse Ansley, Evan Smith, Chris Canning, Felipe Chain, Stephen Nichols. Here we go. That's going to be the 3-6-1 of Chris Canning on a Pilgrim Power Sports packed gas out of Connecticut. Oh, look at the start for Lyndon Snodgrass. Already banging on those handlebars, a 178. Going to have his work cut out for him, the defending champ. Going to have to push here early as we focus on the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am and 10 seconds. Toby Cleveland, Landon Lynn, Van Gosselin, Jonathan Eklund, Dakota DeVore, Sawyer, Karatura, Jason Liscombe, Jack Walker, Zach Hayes, and Jake Froman. All right, the 213 grabbing the whole shot right there. That is Toby Cleveland. I got you. Toby Cleveland picking up where he left off a couple of weeks ago at Big Buck. What a ride he had. 250A coming up next to number 24 at Trevor Bailey in 10 seconds. Ranger Emmons, Cooper Jones, Jason Tino, Joe Gulick, Gavin Simon, Bolton B. Roth, Alex Luger, Will Siebenpiper, Mitchell Owen B., Dominic Morris, Ryder Heacock, Benjamin Watcha, Jason Bruning, Nathan Delaney. That's going to be the 587. Woo! Lane Whitmer on that gas right there, getting it done for the whole shot. Open aim. Dylan Dela Cruz, Ezra Bryan, Huck Jenkins, Samuel Evans, Zachary Davidson, Russell Smith, Jeremiah Lathier, Hunter Bush in 10 seconds. Tanner Whipple, Chase Colville, Wyatt Maddock, Corey Pierce, Julio Rourke, Jeremy Wallstorm, Skylar Kaplinski, Jason Beaton, Jose Micardo, John Gentry, Dalton Young, as well as Chance Malin, Kenton Coleman. Here we go. Zachary Davidson with a good push. Not going to be enough. The 101 takes it. Samuel Evans, but he was right there in the fight with Zachary Davidson. Here we go now. Junior A 25 plus. Adam Machinsky, Benjamin Fricks, Mike Wetterman in 10 seconds. Garrett Edmondson, Gregory Funk, Justin Leonard, Jeremy Buck, Ted Mullins, Thomas Caldwell, Matt Modick, Luke Prager, Andrew Boggs, Braden Moore, and Andrew France. Here we go. Riders jockeying for position in turn number 1 as we come into the whole shot area, doing it in the flannel somehow. That's a 385 of Garrett Edmondson. He's a Florida native. That explains it. That's why he's chilly. He said, this isn't warm. I'll show you warm. The 150A coming up next. Peyton Harden, Matthew Webb, David Johnson, Ryan Gribben in 10 seconds. And Colin Anderson. We're off. Good four-way battle. 5th ride on the Husky. Not too far off that pace behind him. Peyton Harden out front, and Peyton Harden will grab it aboard that Trigger Concepts Fly Racing backed Yamaha to Stamping Ground, Kentucky. as we turn our attention now to the 4-stroke A lights in. Waiting on one more rider right there. Levi Elliott, Ryan Piper, Cameron Madison, as well as Caleb Baltimore, Colton Shields in 10 seconds. Lance the Machine, Machino, Wade Tucker, Nick, T-Rex DeFeo, Pat Meehan, Ty Ely, Ash Brewer, John Wood, Justin Brazio, Jonathan Manelia, Theo Lepley, Drew Rainey, Luke Stefschick, 176. That's going to be the 445 on the helmet. Van Adams out of Morgantown, Indiana on the Westfield Power Sparks back ride. Shout out to Van. I remember him at locals signing autographs as a little kid. Now he's out here making grown man moves. 10 seconds for Senior A 40 plus. Joe Marsh, Frank Messina, Dave Youngless, Lane Wildfong, Joshua Wyatt, Jack Williams, Jesse Arsenault, Barry McCarty, as well as Scott Abels, Joel Stoltz, Dewey Thomas, Stephen Meacham, and Joe Dean. The 364 goes up and gets it. That's Barry McCarty on an HPD Moto Graphics backed Husqvarna. Here we go, Fed A 30 plus. We've got them shut down. Mike Carrasco Jr., Robbie Norwood, as well as Meekines Gomez, Ryan Lojak in 10 seconds. Walsley Teixeira, Jesse Roberts, Joshua Watson, Nicholas Hunter, Matt Aubuchon, Cody Great Batch, Michael Funk, Eric Stevenson, Daniel Sims, Max Freeze, Kevin Depew. Oh man, tight battle right there. Oh, the 446 comes out of nowhere. On cue, Kevin Depew right there on the Husqvarna, getting it done. 250B now in 10 seconds. Ty Atkinson, Robert Weiss, Rivers Morris, Bancroft, Andrew Adams, Sky Metcalf, Peyton Simmons, Dakota Lukowski, Brady Robbins, as well as Devin Moore, David Fontaine, Lucas Rubenstein, Ty Kelly, Zachary Brazio, Gavin Guthrie, Connor Carey, and Logan Pellegrini. And it's going to be the 128. That's the 228 on the helmet. That is Rivers Morris on that Battery Park XC gearback KTM out of South Carolina. Open B, ready to go in 10 seconds. Dylan Fleming, Chandler Taylor, Tom Amos, Andrew Post, Jet Leatherwood, Connor Lawrence, Matthew Harris, Arton Shelley, Carl Theodore, Fisher Zabarak, Lane Morrison, Eugene Lucente, James Blair, as well as Colton Koontz, Taylor Miles, Jim Cagle, and Nate Garrison. That's going to be the 169 of Tom Amos out of the on the Kawasaki out of the UK. Getting it done. How about that? Love to see it. Junior B, 25 plus. Ready to go in 10 seconds. Corey King, Ty Roberts, Sterling Edwards, Joseph Dukes, Devin Hall, Logan Robinette, Jack Staten, James Martitz, Jared Lambert, Leroy Petrie, Douglas Randolph, John Bottoming, Luke Hendrickson, and Billy Saliga. Here we go. That's going to be the 374 of Joseph Dukes on the KW Realty backed Honda. 150B coming up next. 150B featuring Caleb Montgomery, Dylan Sharp, Gavin Hampton, Noah McGraw, Caden Childers, and Garrett McLaughlin. Ready to go in 10 seconds for 150B. Good drive right down the middle. It's number 9 on the machine. Goes a little wide on the outside. Can he bring it back around and grab a hole shot? He can. That's going to be the 999. How about that? Garrett McLaughlin on the State 8-backed Yamaha to Northfield Center, Ohio. Here we go. 4-stroke B lights in 10 seconds. Alexis O'May, Rayleigh Messer, Lewis Borgen, Benjamin Coleman, Bailey Flynn, Clayton Robbins, Hunter Barron, Eddie Kelly III, Brock Belsol, Derek Orbash, Drew Hoffman, Preston Oyes, Keenan Rupp, Andrew Siegels, Randall Zierden, Preston Horton, as well as Robert DeLay IV. That's going to go to the 370 of Bailey Flynn. It's 333 on the machine, grabbing that hole shot and early lead. Senior B 40 plus. George Klein's Larry Hopper in 10 seconds. Martin Fortier, Nicholas Pignatillo, William Steinbach, Aaron McAfee, and Brent Maynard duking it out right here, right now. Ooh, checked up a little bit right there. 67A on the front number plate. It's going to be the 471 on the helmet. Nicholas Pignatillo out of Connecticut. 10 seconds for Vet B 30 plus. Adam Odell, Rick Stanley, Scott Hopper, Ryan Tucker, Zachary Taylor, James Muntz, as well as Thomas Simonson, Roberto de Felix Cartage, Nicholas Cardano, Antonio Andreo, Gabriel Brexix, Juan Loduza, Jorge Garcia. And it's going to be the 371 of Nicholas Cardano out of Doral, Florida, aboard the gas ride, grabbing a whole shot right there as it is pandemonium afterward. Goodness gracious. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap things up for us down here on the starting line. We got a good, clear, safe starting line for you folks here on location to move across, move about the country here at the Wild Boar. It's a wild one to start here in the sands of Florida. Who's going to come out on top? We'll take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be back with more GNCC here on Racer TV.
Yamaha YZ450F. Narrower, more compact, and lighter. Built to do one thing: go faster. Flexible financing options offered directly through Yamaha are available. See your local Yamaha dealer today.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won the championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
GNCC Racing is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
All right, everyone, hello, and welcome back to the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. My name is Jackson Burrow, and I'm alongside Zach Heron, Johnny G, and of course, that was Mikey Waynes with our 10-second calls. This is the second round of the Grand National Cross Country Championship. In just 1 second, we're going to look at our Specialized start recap. I'll go ahead and pass things over to Zach.
Yeah, thanks, Jackson. It was a wild fight right off of the line there. Going to pull up our Specialized start recap and take a look at the XC1, XC2, and the XC3. See how they got this Wild Boar GNCC started. Starting off with the XC1. At first, I thought it was going to be Ricky Russell on the Ampro Yamaha. Got a good jump off the inside. Heading strong into turn number one. Tried to ride the tight line. But it was actually Ben Nelko there on the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Tilly Energy KTM that was able to sneak around and grab the whole shot. And got a great drive coming out of that first corner. Riders having to go through a couple of short shoots before they hang a left and head off into the woods. So it was Ben Nelko followed by Craig DeLong and Ricky Russell there in the XC1 class. Now, taking a look at the XC2. We had some tough luck there for your defending champion. Lyndon Snodgrass had a good drive going into the first turn, but you'll see he gets collected and a small pile up. I believe 2 or 3 riders there getting caught up, but it is going to be the 361 of Chris Canning coming around in the XC2, grabbing the whole shot, putting some space between him and the rest of the field relatively immediately coming out of that first turn. So the riders we're seeing, some of them bunch up before they head off into the woods. And as you'll see in our XC3 replay, Toby Cleveland doing exactly what he was wanting to do in the XC3. That 125, the Yamaha rider Toby, we saw him do the same thing 2 weeks ago at Big Buck. Watch the drive he gets. Toby Cleveland sitting on the back just at the bottom of your screen, starts cutting over to the right, and that's how you are supposed to do it. So Toby Cleveland going to be credited with the whole shot there on the 213 in your XC3 125 Pro-Am. And a bit of a longer starting area. Like I said, the riders going through a couple of short straightaways before they really dive off into the woods and get to see what this Wild Boar GNCC course has in store for them. So that was the Specialized start recap. Now taking a look back on track. What a track we've got here. Johnny, tell us about it.
Yeah, we've got a really... Here. We've got a really a great track layout here today at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. It's a long one. It's a brutal one. You know, after already having 1 day of racing on this, the whoops are getting deeper. They went out, smoothed the track out. But this, you know, the palmetto roots we talked about on yesterday's broadcast, combined with the deep whoops, the sand being loose, that little bit of rain we got last night is making for some square edge stuff. It's a long track. It winds all around this Rodman Plantation facility, and there really is a diverse terrain. We've got some palmettos. We've got the loose loose sand. We don't have the fields that we've seen in previous years. As you can see, kind of up the top there is where we used to have that fast, wide open stuff. So although it's a flowing track, it's very tight. It all stays within the palmettos, and it's not going to offer a lot of passing opportunities for these guys today. I think we're going to see these guys really having to work hard if they didn't get the start they wanted to work their way up through the pack.
Absolutely, Johnny. And talking about our broadcast yesterday, so we had the ATV riders. With it being a tighter course like this, we saw really one main race line develop throughout that entire race yesterday. The bikes obviously a little thinner, able to maneuver around the trail a little more. So are you expecting to see 2 to 3 race lines develop before it's all said and done?
Yeah, there's going to be places where we're going to see 2, 3, even 4 race lines develop. And what's going to happen is we're going to see race lines develop within other race lines today. And when I say that, the ATVs, obviously, you kind of have a 2-track setup, and you've got 2 ruts that you kind of have to stay within. These guys are going to be able to kind of work the outsides, turn them into insides in the next corner. You're going to see a lot of that crossover. You're going to see them riding the edges, as we call it. They're going to get up on the edges next to the vegetation, next to the palmettos. It looks like that might be Craig DeLong we see there on screen. And it looks like he may have the point position. So he was up there. We saw him. I believe he was in that 2nd place position. So looks like Craig DeLong could be our early leader today. I want to talk real quick about Ben Nelko. What a rocket of a start for him. You know, a disappointing start to the season for him in round 1, running solidly in a top 10 position. Had a bike failure. They said it was a cooling system issue. Had to drop out of the race, which was his first full-time XC1 race. He ran 1 or 2 at the end of last season, I believe. But a great start for him. Put himself in position to be in the thick of the battle today. And looks like the 342, the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna of Craig DeLong, able to wrestle it away from him here early. And you know, Craig's one of those guys that we've talked about it so many times, even in the show opener. You know, Mikey and I talked about the fact Craig's a guy that maybe just that little bit of confidence is all he needs, and he still has not gotten that first win, but he's been up there, he's been on the podium, battled all the way down to the final round last year, 2 to go for the championship, and you know, he's come into this season hungry. That 5th at round 1, he's wanting more.
Clearly something improved there for DeLong, and as we look at this amazing drone shot we've got here, I'm not seeing anybody immediately behind him. So not only has DeLong moved into the #1 spot, but it doesn't look like he's under immediate pressure from what we can see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's it's so cool that we're able to follow this here on this Yamaha Racing live drone. I mean, look at this. We're just seeing him mile after mile. I was told we may have almost the full track today we're going to be able to follow with these drones. So I can't even imagine our drone operators out there how fast they're changing batteries and keeping those things in the air. But man, it makes it great for the people at home watching. You can follow along with the action. You can see the battles for the lead instead of just waiting and saying, oh, here they come, and the positions have changed. So pretty exciting stuff here today. But yeah, Craig, a rider that, man, I mean, this early in the season, round 2, if you want to establish yourself as a championship contender, obviously coming out of round 1, Stu Baylor, that reverse number plate, the leader's plate, white plate with the red numbers, you know, he kind of flexed his muscle early, you know, really controlled that race all day long. Ben Kelly, an impressive performance. Obviously, 3rd place Ricky Russell, all those guys, great races. But I know Craig was the one that after the race just really seemed kind of dejected, a little disappointed in himself, felt like he left a little something on the table. You know, what a way to kind of rebound from that to lead lap 1 here. Certain that we'll see some battles throughout the day. I don't anticipate that this will be a similar recap of what we saw yesterday with Bryson Neal taking that point position running away, but it's not out of the question. You just never know. Like you said, right now, no pressure from behind, and it's not a dust issue today. You can see there's just not the plumes of dust picking up like there was yesterday, whereas today it seems like they're actually able to, you know, oh, we're working. You can actually see that they're able to follow, they're able to see each other, and pretty soon we'll have them coming in at some camera shots. We'll see just what the gaps are.
Well, Johnny, if we do get a chance to watch any of these battles form with this drone shot, we saw it at Big Buck. The ability to watch the different lines that are being taken, specifically Ricky Russell and Ben Kelly, we followed their battle for a while at Big Buck, and it was impressive to watch one guy go to the left side of a tree, one guy would go to the outside, and we would be able to see in real time where they're making up these differences. And it seemed like one guy would make up a half of a second, and then the next guy would pull out a second and a half over the different lines. So really being able to figure out the small differences that make up building a lead.
You know, one of the things that was discussed at length a few years ago was how, to throw back to our multi-time champion Caleb Russell, it was never one line that he had that would really kind of make the difference for him. These guys will come out and they'll spend so much time scouting one line, like, hey, this is where I'm going to make my pass. Caleb had this uncanny ability to link lines together, to take a line that didn't seem all that good, but set him up better for the next line. We saw so much of that, like you said, the battle with Ricky Russell and Ben Kelly. It's like, well, that line didn't look very fast, but then that allows him to enter the inside on the next with more speed, and it's almost like a game of chess. Like you're moving your pieces around and planning your passes or your strategic moves 4, 5, 6 corners, 6 lines ahead. And another battle we saw so much of last time, Jordan Ashburn and Craig DeLong.
Going
that
at
one
it.
came right down to the wire, and we got to see actual passes and contact made, quite frankly. Friendly contact. It was, hey, man.
Racing incident,
yeah,
absolutely. They're pushing it.
Not even a racing incident, a racing occurrence.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think at this level, both riders, whatever side you're on there, something like that, they respect it. They know if I was on the other side, I'd be doing the same thing. So a great battle to watch there as we are still on board with Craig DeLong, just making his way through this wild boy. A little bit different scenery than what we saw yesterday. The soil's a little brighter, the sand's a little drier, and DeLong really seems to be jiving well out here so far in Florida.
Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly. I can't see anybody else back there. So if that is in fact Craig DeLong, which it looks to be, the picture's getting a little grainy. The gear looks a little bluer now. I don't remember what Stu Baylor was wearing on the line. We'll have to wait and see. But we do believe it was, Stu was buried a little further back in the pack. Ben Kelly a little further back in the pack. Ricky Russell, that definitely is in a Yamaha up front. Here's some other riders coming through now.
That may be Ricky Russell there. I believe that was a blue front fender I saw.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a shot as they kind of pop out into the open here. Oh, here we go. We're going to find out. It is Craig DeLong out front, so he does have the blue gear on, the 342 Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna, and we'll see if you're right. That very possibly could be Ricky Russell. They were your 2 and 3 riders coming through. Look at this, already building up a lead. It is Big Rick out front.
Yeah, Ricky Russell obviously sitting about 6 weeks out of surgery for that collarbone. Was in Florida training, trying to get some seat time in, trying to get used to the heat, as we see our reigning champion Jordan Ashburn holding down the 3rd place spot right now. So the number 1 making moves early here in Wild Boar as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He was up there he was in the top 5 off the start. Now there we have Tyler Medaglia. There we have,
I believe that was
Ben Kelly, and then Johnny Gerard. Had to see which one was which because they're both tall.
So tall,
the
yeah.
Same gear. You got it. Only way to really pick them out is the number. Then there is your whole shot winner, Ben Nelko, the 407. There is Josh Strang. There is Thad Duvall. There is Lane Michael, rounding out about your top 9 or 10 there. And we take a look back here. We start seeing some XC2 riding. Nope, Trevor Bollinger, the 739 machine.
I'm still yet to see. There's Grizzly Grant.
Yep, Grant.
Where is the other Baylor brother? I'm still yet to see Stu Baylor.
There you go.
There we go.
There is
Okay.
Stu Baylor.
So Stu got his work cut out for him. Definitely.
Doesn't seem to be looking like he's riding with a lot of urgency there. Got to wonder if maybe arm pump, shaking it off there,
It's possible. I was able to catch up with Stu a little bit earlier. He said he was feeling good, was actually out on the e-bike trying to ride around, check out the lines before he made his way to the starting area. He said, I feel good. I like the sand. You could probably say this is my favorite round. So the mentality's got to be feeling good, especially carrying the momentum from Big Buck. But Stu got a lot of work in front of him.
Absolutely. Your top 3 in XC2 as they run. Evan Smith, Ryder Lafferty, and Liam Draper. Those are your top 3. 4th place there is the 99 of Cody Barnes from that Phoenix Racing Honda team. So there's your top 4. We'll wait, we'll watch, we'll see who else comes through here. These guys a little more spread out. So it looks like we got an opening here. Jesse Ansley, the 328, the Florida native, riding on that Sarasota Power Sports KTM. And then it is, looks like Angus Riordan there on the
Gus coming off of a podium from last week.
So we see, looks like Mason Simmons. There was Lyndon Snodgrass in front of him there. There is Evan Smith. Oh, so that was not Evan Smith that was out front. That was one of the other betas.
Okay.
Maybe it was Jonathan Johnson. Very likely could have been. It was definitely a beta out front. There is, oh no, that's Mason Simmons. So I guess that must have been Grant Davis. It was the other Trail Jester KTM.
You're losing your touch, John.
I know. We got all this. Well, it's hard to see when you got so many of these guys that are wearing the same gear on the same team. You got to kind of catch the numbers. It's hard to see when they're coming by, especially when they're in a pack.
Now, while we're waiting on our next group of riders, here's Lyndon Snodgrass, your defending XC2 champion. We saw him go down off of the start. With this being a 3-hour race, does he hit the panic button immediately, or does he just try to maintain, keep his composure, and ride this thing out all the way?
No, I mean, I think he's in a good position. We talked about it a little bit in the show opener. I mean, he's got great sand speed being from Australia. Very comfortable conditions for him. Arguably probably his closest to home conditions, if you will. He's already up into the top 5, even after going down early in the first turn there. So I think he's, no sense to hit the panic button. You got to just kind of, settle into a pace, manage your energy levels. This is going to be a long one for these guys today. And for anybody at home that doesn't know, and if you guys hadn't already talked about it, it's a warm one. I mean, it is hot out there, and the sun is very, very, very intense.
Yeah, we were fortunate yesterday. Had a relatively mild day down here in Florida. Cloud cover for majority of the entire day. A little bit of rain falling as we went live on Racer TV as well. There is the XC3 125 Pro-Am leader.
No, there's been 2 riders already through, so that's worth mentioning. The first time we've seen Toby Cleveland not leading XC3 in 2023. Here we see Ben Kelly on screen. Looks like he's chasing Tyler Medaglia. So that is, I believe, your fourth and fifth place on the track, and so Ben there in the 5th place spot trying to track down T-Dags, our Canadian motocross star turned off-road sprinter. I believe was a part of the Canadian, or is going to be a part of the Canadian ISDE team as well, possibly. And there we see that battle continues. Gets a little thicker here in the trees, but man, what a cool shot. You can see they're running those inside lines there, kind of flowing, popping across. It's really hard to see from the drone. It's awesome that we have the footage that we do and we're able to follow these battles, but the absolute intensity that these guys are running, and as rough as this track is getting, you really have to be down at ground level to experience it. It is just brutal down there right now.
Yeah, it is insane. We were calling the earlier races today, and one of the things that Jackson actually pointed out, a little different than the ATVs, these bikes, they're able to get up and sand surf it, as you will. Get in the sand berms, try to carry the momentum around the outside, especially if you're not in an immediate battle, kind of like what we're seeing on screen. Able to try to find your flow, if you will, out there, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's so important to find your flow. Looks like Ben Kelly really starting to put some pressure on Tyler Medaglia now. If you're not finding that flow, you're just wasting so much energy. Now it looks like Johnny Gerard is latched onto the back, and Ben Nelko sticking right in there with those guys. Great start for him, and a great learning experience here, running up in the 5th, 6th, 7th position. So a very, very solid lap 1 for Ben Nelko after taking that hole shot in the XC1 class. Looks like Tyler Medaglia has a good pace going. Neither Ben Kelly nor Johnny Gerard are able to really make a move at the moment, but they're close, they're there, they're starting to put pressure on. Ricky Russell in that P2 has definitely gapped out on these guys here.
Yeah, T-Dags looked strong off the start. We saw him rubbing elbows there in the top 3 for a second. I thought he was going to squeeze up the inside and actually grab the whole shot. But let's talk about Ben Kelly for a second. We know he was incredibly strong here last year. Mikey talks about just the cardiovascular side. Said he doesn't want to, but if he had to, he could probably go out there and go another hour last year. But obviously, the big leg injury, that's going to be the question mark here. We know how rough, tough, and brutal it is out here at Wild Boar. What do you think we should expect to see for Ben, especially in the closing stages of the 3-hour race?
Well, Ben was pretty candid about his race at Big Buck afterwards, and basically just said, he didn't really know what to expect coming in, but once he got out there, he felt that if he was going to suffer for the 3 hours, he might as well try and really make it worthwhile. So I think probably a lot of the same mindset coming into today, like see where the leg's at, see where his fitness is at. He hasn't been able to ride and train anything close to normal, and I think he has a little bit of worriment that perhaps that will catch up with him eventually, but he knows he's put in the work up until now, so I think he's probably, if you notice, he's trying to really find smooth lines. He's not running the main lines. He's not charging through the whoops. He's kind of trying to stay smoother, and it was just a few corners ago looking like he was putting more pressure on, but now it looks like he's actually got pressure from behind from his teammate Johnny Gerard. So that goes to show how quickly just a couple of line choices can really make a difference. And now Tyler Medaglia is starting to pull away. We'll see how this one shakes out, but I think Ben will be a factor here early. But right now, the only guy everybody's chasing, that guy right there, Craig DeLong. Such a soft-spoken, quiet guy, but you can just see the drive. He wants it so bad. And right now, he's literally ridden away from the field on lap 1, built himself up a almost 20-second lead over Ricky Russell. Now here is the AmPro Yamaha of Ricky Russell. You can see him taking that bottle. These guys, normally we wouldn't see bottles so early, but it's hot today. It's going to be a physical race. You can't wait and get behind on hydration. You have to start hydrating immediately because you're consuming and using up so much moisture in your body. Jordan Ashburn in the P3, again, bottle hanging. I think we're going to see that every lap from these guys, and in most cases, multiple times per lap.
Absolutely, yeah, it's definitely, wow. See, almost side by side coming through the hit area there, so definitely looks like Ben Kelly has got a sense of urgency about him now. Oh, it looks like Johnny Gerard there might have gone down. I believe that was the teammate on that FMF Red Bull KTM, so Johnny Gerard He was putting the pressure on, but we talk about the sand, especially you notice Johnny cut to the inside, got into some of that thick stuff, and kind of washed the front end away.
That's what happens, you know, when the things get intense there. It looked like Tyler Medaglia just left that corner a little bit open, maybe didn't realize how tight the turn was. Next thing you know, he's kind of trying to tuck back in. Ben's trying to tuck inside him. Johnny sees an opportunity and goes for it, ends up on the ground. Now it looks like Trevor Bollinger has, Stu's having some issues. Something is going on for sure. He's tapping his head like something's going on, taking a bottle. He has been, you know, at the back of the XC1 pack there. If he can't get something going, definitely in jeopardy of losing that points lead. These guys up front are just kind of, you know, starting to stretch out on him. We see this back and forth. Tyler Medaglia, we've seen him have great speed here in Florida. He's a Canadian, but I guess he must ride a lot of sand up there because he has done incredibly well here in Florida a number of years. We've actually seen him battle for the lead in years past, but he's starting to now feel the pressure from the 530 of Ben Kelly, and we'll see if Johnny Gerard was able to get that bike picked up and put some pressure on these guys from behind as well.
Johnny, one thing I would like to note, I got to talk to some of the WXC riders that have already hit some of this track today, and me and you had talked about yesterday how it was so hard to find a rhythm in these sand loops, that you couldn't really jump them, you just had to hit them. But they said that it was a little better than years prior, that they could jump through them a little bit, they could kind of find a rhythm, and it was a little bit easier on them than in past years. Yeah, I think the rain that we got yesterday actually ended up helping. Wow, big step out there for Ben Kelly, the back end coming around. When you start to see that, you know that's most likely a function of him really starting to push the pace. He's trying to get a run on Medaglia here to make the pass, and this could be it. He's got him on the right, and he's got the pass made. Outbreaks him coming into the woods. Almost looked like Medaglia may have let him have that one. A lot of times when you have a rider behind you putting that much pressure on, you just kind of get in this mindset of, hey, I'm racing behind me. If I let this guy go, try to latch on. And you can see, yeah, Johnny Gerard was able to pick that machine up and get back to the, oh no, that's Ben Nelko. Ben Nelko now putting the pressure on Medaglia from behind, so he was able to get around Johnny Gerard after that crash that he had. Here is your P2. Wow, look at that line. There was some smooth real estate.
Good creative there. I like that.
But to your point, Jackson, you know, it definitely, when you have that moisture, it just gives you a little bit more bite, a little bit more grip. Oh, we got a rider down, and that is Tyler Medaglia. Medaglia down. There goes Johnny Gerard by. Oh, Medaglia turning around. Not sure if he just doesn't want to go inside that track marker or if he's got another issue there. But so now it is Johnny Gerard has gotten around. Ben Kelly obviously got around him. That is Gerard there on screen. So ahead of him, we believe, was still Ben Nelko and Ben Kelly. So the Bens there flying in formation now in that 4th and 5th place position. And then it's Josh Strang in 7th. And Thad Duvall in 8th. Lane Michael 9th. Does not look like Tyler Medaglia got going again. Whatever happened there, he was picking his bike up, so don't know if perhaps a bike issue that caused that. We'll see if we can get an update here in a little bit. Maybe Jackson and I will go down and check out the pits, but on screen, Ben Kelly, the 530, now up into that P4. Top 3 as they run out front. It kind of starting to pull away with things. Craig DeLong, I don't know why that seems so odd to say. He's been a threat, but we've never seen him get out front and pull away like this. P2, Ricky Russell on the Ampro Yamaha. P3 as they run, your defending champion, Jordan Ashburn, and then this guy right here on screen, Ben Kelly, is your number 4 ride as they sit. Not far behind him, though, now up into the top 5. Ben Nelko, can't say enough about that. Strong start for him today.
Yeah, you talked about it at the top of the show, Johnny. Nelko just needing to take that next step in the mental game. We even talked about it with Hunter Hart on the ATV side. The mental side of saying I deserve a podium versus the mental side of I deserve to win is a big step, and these riders have got to take it, and getting out front early, riding with those top folks is the best way to do it.
Absolutely, and you know, Ben's still relatively new to the game. He's been in GNCC for, I believe, 3 years full-time now, maybe 4, I could be wrong, but he's relatively new. He doesn't have the experience some of these guys have. Came from a moto and supercross background, had a longtime sponsor that got him into the off-road game, came out here, and oh, look at this. Now we see Ben Kelly has caught, is that Jordan Ashburn?
I think it is.
Wow, that was quick that he caught him. You almost have to wonder if Ashburn may have gone down there. But now he's pressuring heavily. The 530 is on the number 1 of Jordan Ashburn on that Magna 1 Motorsports Husqvarna. And we talked about it last race. What a cool retro look he's got going on there.
Absolutely. He was, what was that, a 1986 Husky or something that he was going to use at Big Buck? I don't think they were actually able to get it fired up, but God, it looked pretty headed to the line, didn't it?
Yeah, here we see on screen in the Specialized Forest there, Ben Kelly putting the pressure on Jordan Ashburn in the P3 spot. And this is where the action's at for the moment. Again, if you're just joining us out front all alone, the 342 Rockstar Husqvarna of Craig DeLong hanging there in P2, the 212 Ampro Yamaha of Ricky Russell. Both those guys were 2 and 3 off the start. They're now running 1-2, followed by this duo right here on screen. These guys no stranger to battling so many times over the years, and it looked like Ben might get a run on there, but Jordan's line just came out quicker, and quite a bit quicker. Made a few bike lengths there.
Yeah, not sure what Ben Kelly was going for. You saw him dart to the outside in that right-hander, possibly trying to line something up maybe for later in the race, but definitely didn't pay off here right now as he is chasing the back of the Magna 1 Husqvarna, your reigning champion. And he's got that number 1 plate for a reason, so I'm very confident that Jordan Ashburn knows exactly what he's doing. Ben Kelly, though, got success here in Florida. That was the big question. Is he going to be able to repeat? Certainly looking strong so far out here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we're seeing pretty much every time we've seen Ben on camera, we see him running a lot of edges and a lot of outsides or insides. He's trying to stay out of the deep, choppy stuff. And, you know, there's 2 schools of thought for that. It could be a little bit of saving energy. Could also be a little bit of, you know, just trying to take some weight and pressure off that leg. You know, it's one of those things when you know you've got 3 hours to go and you've kind of got a weak limb, something that you're nursing, you know, you want to do everything that you can to just kind of give yourself that advantage, allow yourself to last just that little bit longer. And with things looking the way they are on screen, every time we see him battling so far, it seems like he's just trying to stay out of that main race line as much as possible. And some of the times it seems to be working out. In this case, he gave up a couple bike lengths, and now it's taken him quite a bit of time. Now look at this. Behind him, is that again the 407? No, now it's the 969 of Johnny Gerard. So he's put the pressure now and actually caught back up to the 530 of Ben Kelly, who's putting pressure. So there it is on screen, 3-4-5, and these guys putting a battle down. We're actually joined in the booth here by a guy who's accustomed to being out there battling with these guys. There is Ben Nelko again, your whole shot taker in the 6th place position, and a solid ride for him so far. Ampro Yamaha's Zach Osborne joining us today. Zach, we know you'd rather be out there racing. A little bit of a preseason injury. We've talked about it. You know, thanks for joining us in the booth today and giving us your perspective on
Yeah,
things.
thank you for having me. Like you said, I wish I was racing. This is one of the races I had kind of marked on my calendar for one of the ones I felt like I could really do well at. So it's a bummer to miss it with my injury, but things are progressing well and in a decent spot with all that. So look forward to get back out there.
Are we at a point yet where we have any projected idea of when we might be able to come back to riding or racing? Or?
Yeah, so my goal was this weekend. Like I feel like I'm in a decent spot, and I'm pretty close to healed. But yeah, I just I didn't quite make it. So for now, Camp Coker.
Perfect. Well, there we see Craig DeLong on screen. It looks like Ben Kelly may have made the pass. They're in P2 now. Did we lose Jordan Ashburn? We'll have to wait. Okay, we'll wait and see when we get a little better shot here, but awesome to see this action battling back and forth. Zach, we've got these guys almost the whole way around the course on this Yamaha Racing live drone. It really gives a perspective of the battles. Obviously, you coming from motocross and supercross background, you know, people are accustomed, like last night watching the Daytona Supercross, you get to see all the action. How cool is it to be able to sit in here or sit at home and see these battles in real time, whereas in the past, you just come out and you got to tell people like, no, we made a pass out at the 6, but nobody sees it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I sat at home and watched Big Buck the whole 3 hours, I believe. So it's really cool for everyone to be able to watch and see it like never before this year. I think GNCC Racing is headed in the right direction in terms of broadcasts and everything that they have going on. So it's really cool to get these live drone shots into the footage, and yeah, just really cool perspective.
Now, Zach, question for you. Obviously, the motocross, supercross world, during the week, you guys will re-watch film. You watch the TV broadcast. Your teams have filmers as well. With these new drone shots and being actually able to follow almost 90% of the trail, do you guys go back during the week and try to watch, take notes, see what you could have done better?
I mean, I haven't been able to cross that bridge yet, right, because I haven't done a race, but I'm sure that there will be some portion of that, you know, especially if we need something different with the bike, or we're looking for something, or like you said, you can talk about a pass or a crash or whatever the case is. So it's really cool to kind of open that new avenue of GNCC racing.
Interestingly enough, back in the day, well, not all that long ago, I know quite a few of the XC1 guys will watch the live broadcast on their way home, of course, while their wife or team owner's driving, whatever it may be. And I know I spent quite a bit of time with Caleb Russell, and almost every race, regardless if he was would win or lose, he would go home, and especially the closer ones. We've talked about this on Racer TV before. He'd go home and he'd watch the live broadcast till like 3, 4 in the morning and rewatch the whole thing. And I'd always ask him, like, what, are you looking for anything? And he's like, well, you go out there, you race that whole time for 3 hours like that, you push, and you don't have any idea what's happening except in your own little world. He said it's not as much that I'm looking necessarily for lines or, mistakes or anything like that. It's just kind of interesting to see how the race shapes up, because you don't get to see it. All you see is the results at the end. What we are seeing on screen right now is we're seeing the duo of Ben Kelly and Johnny Gerard, and they are reeling in a white Husqvarna in front of them just a little bit. What we do not know is, are they reeling Jordan Ashburn back in? Was he able to push away from them, or did we lose Jordan Ashburn from this battle? And they're starting to reel in Craig DeLong. I've got to believe it's Ashburn, because Craig DeLong had a pretty solid lead. It was over 20 seconds on Ricky, and Ricky Russell would need to be missing as well. So I think something happened there, and Jordan Ashburn was able to gap out on the KTM duo of Ben Kelly and also Johnny Gerard. We're going to wait and see here when we actually get a ground level shot, but that's what it looks like to me. They're trying to reel him back in little by little.
Yeah, I saw Tyler Medaglia in the pits on the way over here. So
we had him on screen.
Oh, okay.
He was battling. He was in P4. He and Ben Kelly were kind of like really playing cat and mouse. The next thing we know, Ben Kelly gets him. Looks like Ben Nelko starts putting some pressure on him. Next camera shot, he's picking up his bike, but headed back the opposite direction. So don't know if maybe a broken lever or something like that when he went down, but just had one little tip over and back to the pits. So must have damaged something on that machine. We'll try to go get an update on that here soon.
I'm pretty impressed with the 969 as well. Johnny Gerard, we saw him go down not too long ago, and unless Ben Kelly has made a mistake, Johnny's been able to track him back down. So the two F.
That's Ricky Russell.
Right, yeah.
What are we seeing? This is chaos. Yeah. We had a Husky a minute ago up there ahead of them. Now we have the Yamaha Ricky Russell. So as we last knew, that would be P2, meaning that these guys have gotten around Jordan Ashburn, because that's definitely two KTMs there and a Yamaha in front of them. So we know it's some order of obviously Ricky Russell, the first rider you see on screen, and then it looks like still to be Ben Kelly there in the, which we think is P3, and then Johnny Gerard P4. So we may have lost Jordan Ashburn unless Ashburn has gotten around Ricky Russell. So there's a lot of questions here. We see the racing action on screen, but obviously we can't see either side of the screen.
Yeah, Ricky was a good bit ahead of Ashburn, so maybe he's fallen and Ashburn's gone by. I don't know.
Yeah, we've
but
got some.
They've kind of made contact now, so that's.
We've got the FMF PowerPoint coming up, so we'll get to see these guys come through again. We'll look to see. We do believe it is still the 342 of Craig DeLong out front. Let's talk about that a little bit. A guy that he has led races, but it was kind of late into the season last year when he's in the thick of that championship hunt. The first time he established himself as a race leader. How does that feel when you're able to kind of break out of the comfort zone and put yourself up front there, wearing that pressure that you're not used to? You just kind of, how does it feel when you're not used to that? You obviously have experience there.
Yeah, I think that the main thing is, Craig doing well at the end of last year. The main thing is to go into the winter, have a good solid winter, and be, avoid injury and keep that momentum that you have going, where you believe you're a championship guy, you believe you can win races, and that will turn into a race win eventually. But for me, that was the biggest thing. Once I won a race and then I had a good off season after that, it was like, okay, now I'm a winning guy. I wasn't going for podiums anymore. I was going for wins. So I think that a late season charge like that combined with a good winner can really put you in a good spot.
A lot of people have said Craig DeLong could be the next guy. It's just the mindset. He has what they refer to as the younger brother syndrome. His older brother Andrew, was the star, won the Enduro Championship, tons of XC2 wins, battled up front in XC1 here, and Craig was just his little brother. Well, now Andrew's moved on, isn't racing full time anymore. Craig is now, the star of the show, and he just. A lot of people say, hey man, he's got all the tools. He just doesn't realize that when he goes to the line, he's a threat to win. We're starting starting to see that, Craig, come about more and more. We talked a little bit earlier. He was really not happy with that P5 at round 1. Seemed like he, you would think starting off the season top 5, hey, that's a good solid run, especially, we talked about it, a lot of guys just wanted to get through round 1 with everything that happened last year.
I think that goes back to what I was saying, like you start chasing a different goal, right? Like winning's the goal, and third's not good enough, and fifth's not good enough anymore. So you put in a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of people around you are doing the same thing, and you get to the race and you get a 5th, and you're like, well, that wasn't what I trained for, So I think that's the first part of that mental shift that you make to become a race winner, and then win championships and so on and so forth.
Well, and to touch on that as well, you go, you do the entire offseason, you put in all the work, you come to round 1 and get a 5th, but then to respond here in round 2, getting the whole shot and clearly hanging on to it as of right now. DeLong wasn't deciding that 5th, was just putting him out of the chase, regrouped and came back here for round 2 swinging.
Yeah, that's not easy either. You get bummed out, you tag some emotion onto that result, and then you want to fix it, and that can snowball the wrong direction pretty quick, right? Because that momentum builds up. So yeah, it's important for Craig today, I think, to reverse that momentum, and looks like he's doing a dang good job of it so far.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do better than not grab the whole shot, but grab the early lead and get right out front and start pulling away. Yeah,
big key here.
We've got, looks like, it was 19 seconds at the completion of lap number 1. Not a huge gap, but it has broken outside that line of sight.
Yep.
Those guys can't see him. They're not able to key off him. They have to rely on pit boards. They have to rely on their team. There may be a few sections out in the open sections where you can look a few corners ahead and see him. But, right now, these 3 guys right here, this is just like a cycling draft. They're the guy up front's kind of doing all the work, doing the pushing. The 2 guys behind him are able to key off his lines. They're able to use less energy, see what's working, what isn't. And you would think that this group would push up to the riders in front of them, which, again, we still are waiting for confirmation whether Jordan Ashburn has dropped back a little bit from this battle or actually got ahead of Ricky Russell. So we'll wait and see when we have a different camera shot here for this. But right now, we'll enjoy the battling between these 3 on screen. And what a great battle it's been so far through almost now 2 laps of racing.
Yeah, Ricky, Liam, and I actually did a little bit of this in the off season where we would just go out, do an hour and a half moto, but we would just kind of, after each lap, everybody, take a pull and just see what happens. And I noticed anyways on my heart rate files that I was like 10 and 15 beats lower just by following, that I didn't have to have that quick, super fast twitch. Know where I'm going, I could just kind of key off the guy in front of me. So those guys are saving a little bit of energy, which is going to be huge in this heat. It's warm, it's hot, it's dry, it's dusty, it's all the things you don't want it to be. So every little bit's going to help.
Well, that's what I was going to touch on, Zach, the strategy that goes into a 3-hour-long race. Obviously, Ben Kelly is closing up behind Ricky Russell. I'm not saying that he's faster, but he's definitely got the ability to catch up to him. When you get behind him, maybe don't have to put the pressure on immediately. Do you try to wait it out for a little later, or if he's right there, let's go ahead and make the move?
Yeah, I think in this situation, on this day, with these conditions, I would give it a little bit. Let that guy take the pull, let whoever's in front of you kind of pull you along, and if you get a pit board that somebody's a minute out, then hey, that's a different story. You need to drop the hammer. But with these gaps, 15 and 20 seconds, it's I think they're fine to wait a little bit.
Absolutely. Now welcome in one of our WXC competitors here. Again, we wish you were calling your race in here today. It's the injured crew up here in the trailer, but who better to call all the action? Taylor Jones. Taylor, what are you seeing out there right now?
Yeah, it's looking good right now. DeLong's got a nice lead, which we seen in the morning race that Corey got out front. She had a clean track and she pulled away a big gap. So hopefully Craig can get into a groove and see what he can do. But these guys are going to be on it. Like, this track is gnarly right now. Being out in the woods it's pretty deep. So it's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, kind of been a pattern we've seen all weekend long, both 2 wheels and 4. Obviously, Bryson Neal yesterday grabbing the whole shot, saying, I will see you at the finish line. This morning, Corey Steed doing a lot of the same. Pretty impressive how much of a gap they're able to put there in that first lap. But that's the best time to do it before the lap riders even start to become a part of the discussion.
Yeah, for sure. They want to get that gap. They don't want anyone close to them, because once the lappers come into play out here, it's very tough to pass, because they're all over the place generally, and they get a lot more tired than these front guys. So getting past them can be a big issue. So if you can build a lead, you won't stress about it, and that way you can make some clean passes.
Absolutely. Still watching the drone shot here of this incredible, I don't quite want to call it a battle. It's almost just like a freight train. Ben Kelly and Ricky Russell, though, starting to separate themselves just a little bit over Johnny Girard. So Johnny going to need to hang on to the back of his FMF Red Bull KTM teammate, try to stay up there in the battle. But Ricky Russell running strong. We're still trying to figure out exactly what happened to your reigning XC1 champ, Jordan Ashburn. He was right there in the mix. But I believe we've got an interview with Ben Kelly that we're going to play for you guys here right now.
I feel pretty good for the Florida round. I do really enjoy it. I love riding this type of stuff, the sand, the big whoops, blasting the berms. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely a battle of attrition, not just the last hour, the last two. But I'm looking forward to it, ready as I can be. Spent a lot of time down in Florida, not far from here, the past few winters, so it's almost like this is a local race for me. And yeah, I'm excited. Just gonna go out there, see what I can do. Past 2 years here were great for me. I managed to win, so try to keep that streak alive.
Elephant in the room, how you feeling physically? You mentioned last year, and I can't help but think, last year you come off the track, you're breathing through the nose, you're cool, calm, collected, and I said, off air, I said, Ben, could you have done another hour? And you thought for about a half a second, and you go, yeah, I could have done another hour. I don't want to do another hour, but I could have. How are you feeling physically coming into today?
Yeah, fitness-wise, I'm feeling good. You know, not where I would like to be, but you know, my off season's had some struggles with this injury and just not being able to do everything I want. But for the most part, I've still, you know, packed together some really good weeks, and it showed at the last round my fitness is good, and I believe I still have what it takes. So we will see. A lot of unknowns. It's going to be a brutal day, but looking forward to the battle, and hopefully I can stay strong throughout the whole 3 hours.
So Ben Kelly there, wow, I was not aware at the state of his leg still right now. It's funny, you talk to him in person, and he's pretty nonchalant, pretty laid back about what's going on, but clearly still fighting through the injury, but fighting hard and fighting well, as he's in the top 5 at least. We're still getting to see the new time in scoring. I want to know what happened to the number 1 of Jordan Ashburn. He was up there. I didn't see him fall anywhere, but then all of a sudden it was just Ricky Russell and the 2 KTM boys battling it out, and Craig DeLong checking out up front. So pretty impressive for Ben Kelly. Taylor, we're talking about brutal, sandy, tough, gnarly, whatever you want to call it out here at Wild Boar. It fits. Definitely not the track I would like to show up to injured in any capacity.
No, definitely not. This track is one of the hardest of the season, that's for sure. Just mentally and physically on the body, like you're just going through hours of sand and whoops over and over. So standing up is going to be key to save yourself. And Ben is pretty incredible the way he's able to get through that. Even at Big Buck, the way he pushed through any kind of pain, like no one would have known it. So it is cool to see him out here doing what he does best, but I'm sure he's feeling it inside the helmet. Ben
Kelly, known as one of the taller riders out there on the circuit, whooped out. That's another descriptive term that we've heard a lot out here at Wild Boar. Being a little bit taller, Zach, do you think he's able to soak those bumps up just a little bit better than some of the shorter riders?
Yeah, I'm one of those shorter riders, so I long for legs on days like these or in some supercross weeks. But yeah, I think Ben's technique's awesome. Really been over kind of dynamic riding position, what I would call. So yeah, I don't know quite the extent of his leg, but I know that it's not 100%, which on this track wouldn't be ideal.
Absolutely, and it almost reminding me of 2 weeks ago at Big Buck as the drone shot kind of yo-yoing back and forth. Ricky Russell now pulling back out in front of the 2 KTM boys. Ben Kelly had closed it up significantly, and I thought Johnny Gerard was maybe going to get left behind for a second, but he is now creeped back up and is just close enough to apply a little bit of pressure to his teammate Ben Kelly as well. So we'll be trying to get a ground shot with these guys here relatively soon, try to figure out exactly how everything's shaped up, maybe find out where our defending XC1 champion Jordan Ashburn ran off to. Here we go. Okay, so there is your leader, Craig DeLong. It's still the Rockstar Husqvarna, the number 342, looking solid out there.
Yeah, he looks very strong. It's good to see all the sand practice over the off season is paying off, but he looks good out there, and he's got a good lead. So.
Oh, it is Ricky. Second. Yep. Ashburn's disappeared.
Oh, Ricky getting caught up in some of that thick stuff. We said
Craig's lead has gone down a lot, I feel like.
Significantly.
Within 10 seconds or 12 seconds of that.
They're staying very tight, though, in that pack in the middle.
Absolutely.
I feel like Craig's slimmed down a lot this year, too. He looks really fit, like super athletic. Not that he didn't before, but just more so now. There's Ashburn.
Sure. Okay, so Ashburn is still out there and rolling, just falling behind the two KTM riders. So the Magna 1 Husqvarna, Jordan Ashburn sitting in that 5th place position. And then Stu Baylor. Okay, so Stu making his way through as well. We saw him in the beginning. It looked like he didn't look great when we saw him in the first camera shot, and then he came through the pits, was doing some kind of signaling with his helmet. Zach, okay, you come out, you win the opening round, then you start off with a bad start in round 2. You think Stu's just freaking out? Or, I mean, we know Stu.
Yeah, I didn't know. He's made up a ton of time. We'll have to see what this lap time looks like, but he's made up a lot of time on those front guys. I would be a little nervous if I were there.
Absolutely. One of the interesting things about Stu Baylor, he's got an interesting set of foot pegs going. They're called ankle saver foot pegs, and they actually have a small little platform behind the main foot peg. He says that that's particularly advantageous on the sand tracks. He feels like he's able to get his weight over the back of the bike a little bit more. So maybe it's the foot pegs that are making the difference out here for Stu.
Maybe.
I actually run those foot pegs too, and they're pretty awesome. I love them in the sand. I'm not as big as Stu, but he's able to get over the back a lot more. But they definitely work, and they've definitely saved my ankles from crashes too. So they are awesome foot pegs, and they'd be great today.
Every little bit helps us. Now it looks like we're looking at Grizzly Grant Baylor coming around. That Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki.
It's maybe 8th place, 7th or 8th.
Yeah, I think Nelko was the last one, so he should be around. No, Strang was the last one after Nelko, so probably 9th.
8th or 9th.
We haven't seen Lane yet, or Thad.
Waiting to see who's going to pop out there. So there's Bollinger, and got to be satisfied for him. Obviously, Jackson able to get an interview with him 2 weekends ago at Big Buck. He went down, said his shoulder was a little sore. I talked to him yesterday. He didn't say he felt great, but he said he was lining up.
Ryder Lafferty leading and Jonathan Johnson second.
Wow, Jonathan's riding really good. That's cool to see him coming out strong. We know he likes the sand. He's one of those tall riders too.
And there's Cody Barnes on the Phoenix Honda as well. Cody had a great race here last year, so looking to follow that up. And then Liam as well on the Ampro Yamaha. So I'm wondering where your XC2 champ is. Lyndon Snodgrass went down there in the first turn.
Yeah, he had they put a new pack on him in the pits, so he stopped for a little bit in the pits to get a new pack. It must have gotten ripped off in the first corner in that little melee, so he may be back a little bit more.
Yeah, that is definitely needed today. You don't want to be out there for 3 hours without one of those. The breeze isn't even picking up yet, so it's very hot and humid.
Yeah, seeing the crews there with the hydration waiting on their riders. Got a shot of one of the split lines out here. There, I believe that's Ricky Russell we just saw go by. And
should be Ben.
I think that's Ben as well. Yep, and then there's Johnny just behind as well. So
I feel like those guys are going to push up to Craig, maybe just 3 of them riding together, spur them all on a little bit. I think they could catch Craig maybe in the next lap or so.
And you talked about it even earlier, Zach, when you're out there by yourself, keeping the pace is difficult. When you don't have anybody to judge off of, you don't really have anybody to time off of. So we'll see whether Craig starts to get roped in.
Yeah, especially being Craig. He's been in the lead for, over 40 minutes now, and probably hasn't hurt anyone since he got in the lead. That those guys were just far enough off the back to where he probably couldn't see them in any sections. So he knew kind of, take it easy, but they're hammering. So maybe they'll catch him, maybe not. Maybe he's holding a steady pace.
And I'm sure he's going to be okay, so we just got some word about Stu Baylor. When he came through and was tap dancing on his helmet trying to give some type of signal to his team, he was about 1.5 minutes down. Now he has cut that gap down to 45 seconds. So Stu has clicked the gear and he's in race mode now. So we're really seeing Stu Baylor try to put a charge on at about a third of the way through this 3-hour Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC out here in Palatka, Florida. There is Ricky Russell, Ben Kelly, and Johnny Gerard checking in for another lap, and Ben is definitely closed up significantly on the back of the Ampro Yamaha.
Yeah, he looks ready to go, so maybe he'll go by. I don't know. I would probably sit in, but Ben's the champion and I'm not, so.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like you said earlier, saving that energy for later in the race is going to be crucial, especially since Craig's not really pulling a gap. You don't need to push it over too much.
If you get a pit board and he's a minute out, then hey, it's time to drop the hammer, like I said earlier. But with it being 10 or 15 seconds, what it is now, I would probably just sit in.
Yeah, exciting to see. Now, if you're Ricky Russell, obviously chasing after Craig DeLong, sitting in second place, but he's got pressure behind him as well. You can't necessarily explore different lines. Got to be just a little bit protective. Kind of a tough spot to be for the Ampro Yamaha.
It is. He's stuck in the middle. Kind of. He's trying to set the pace for those guys so they don't pass him. He's worried about Craig out front. There's a lot going on in Ricky's position. Whereas Craig's by himself. He's trying to manage his race. Johnny and Ben are just keying off of Ricky. So Ricky's probably in the toughest spot right now.
And to add one more thing to the mix, we're starting to see lap riders coming through as well. So several of your lead pack having to get around some slower riders, and that definitely is going to play a role as well. I literally feel like I'm back 2 weeks ago at Big Buck, watching Ricky Russell and Ben Kelly go back and forth. We watched Ben chase after the Yamaha for seemed like over an hour at Big Buck, and here we are once again.
Yeah, Ricky was extremely bummed when he broke his collarbone back in January, and to see him get on the podium at Big Buck, that was super nice. I think it kind of gave him a shot in the arm to know how little riding he had actually done, and to be up there was nice for him.
I don't think anybody was surprised walking away from Big Buck. I think they knew all three of those riders were more than capable of getting a podium, but I don't think they would have been everybody's top pick. Stu Baylor even said he wouldn't have picked Stu Baylor to win. Ben Kelly, question marks with the leg. Ricky Russell, obviously the collarbone. So good to see the ones that we weren't totally sure about have a great showing to start off the season.
Yes, sir.
So Johnny Gerard, he's trying to hold on to the back of his teammate, chase after Ben Kelly, and have two KTM riders putting pressure on the Ampro Yamaha. Little teamwork there. Okay, so now we see your leader, Craig DeLong, coming in for the first pit stop, grabbing fuel and goggles.
Those guys should be, they're right there.
Yeah, they're coming in.
They're coming in right there.
They should have to pit around the same time, though. They got the same tank.
Ricky should be able to go another lap.
Yeah, Ricky's bike's different, so that'd be cool for him to catch onto the back of Craig's wheel, so see if he can key off his lines and see what he's doing differently.
And you saw Craig DeLong taking a look over his shoulder as he was leaving the pit area, so he knows. If he didn't know before, he now knows he's got pressure coming from Ricky Russell and Ben Kelly. And we saw the way the pit strategy played out last week. Stu Baylor able to have enough of a lead. He pit a lap earlier than pretty much everyone else. Gave him the advantage to kind of maintain and play with that lead. Jordan Ashburn coming in as well. And it looked like Ricky Russell was catching up to the back of the long, really starting to put the pressure on.
It's definitely going to be interesting since Ricky's only going to have to do one pit since he didn't pit already. So if he's close at the end, even if he's still not in the lead, the other guys are going to have to stop again as well. So it could change things up.
Dangerously close.
Yeah, Stu, definitely the last thing you want to give him is any shred of hope or fuel. Getting a little motivational tap on the behind from his team there as he heads out into the woods.
We know he likes the sand, and he can push it to the end. He's one to come back at the end of the race from minutes down and still be there to win. So it is scary that he's that close right now at the hour mark, but it's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do as well.
Go ahead, sorry.
We'll see how this lap goes. You know, with Craig having a decent lead, maybe Ricky can latch on, and if those other guys aren't as good at setting the pace right now, maybe they can pull a little bit of a gap, and Ricky can keep second whenever he has to pit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You touched just a minute ago about Ricky Russell having that pressure of Ben Kelly behind him. Now that's gone, and he can solely focus on chasing down Craig DeLong, who is within eyesight as well.
Yep, no doubt.
Josh Strang there on the number 17 Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki stopping in. Josh, an Australian as well, got to be enjoying the sand. So here, there's DeLong and Russell. That's 1 and 2 we're seeing right now. And Ricky definitely looks like he's got the intensity going, and he may be trying to make a pass for the lead.
Yeah, it kind of looks that way. He looks feisty. Got some lappers coming up here. That could be a big.
That might make it right there. They got close. Almost looked like Ricky was going to run into the back of him for a second.
He's right there on it.
Yeah, it definitely slows things up when you get a lapper in front of you, but when they're that close, Ricky should be able to pass the same lapper at the same time. So that'll be good for him, bad for Craig. But if Craig can pull a little bit of a gap and get a lapper between them, that would really help him.
Definitely, and I mean, just in that one section, he was actually able to open it up maybe half a second or so there. Ricky really cut down the gap as they got into the woods, but DeLong able to respond back. And so we'll see here several different lines, looking like the Phoenix Honda. That's Cody Barnes.
Cody Barnes coming in for a pit.
Grabbing fuel and goggles.
believe he's still sitting third right now in that XC2 class.
Like I said, Cody having a good showing last year, getting a shot of Johnny Girard riding off into the Florida forest out here in Palatka. Beautiful day. DeLong opened that thing up pretty significantly, a faster section out here on the Wild Boar course. And so we'll see whether or not Ricky's able to respond as they go into the woods.
It's like a muddy section, but they made it through. All good. It's interesting the way to see the way the track shaped up this weekend, because it's so dry in places, but then it gets to these places and
oh,
it's
here
so
it goes.
wet.
There he goes.
Ooh,
what a
he
line.
made the fall.
Wow, that was a sick line.
That was beautiful. Look at that. Almost immediately putting some distance between him and DeLong. It looks like he's trying to check out right now.
Fired up, yeah. He's trying to. I would assume that the strategy would be that he can get a little bit of a gap enough to keep Craig in sight at the pit when Ricky stops. So we'll see if he can maybe break the toe a little bit, get 5 or 10 seconds out there, and be able to stay with Craig after he takes back off.
Now, if you're just joining us, Ricky Russell, your new leader, has not pitted yet. Craig DeLong sitting in second, and I believe Ben Kelly still holding down third. They have already gone into the pit, so Ricky Russell got to try to drop the hammer, open up a gap, and hope that next time he pulls around and pits, he's going to be fast enough to still hang on to that.
And he went by so fast that he instantly got some bike lanes, and that's what starts the break. That guy forces it a little bit. Oh, wow. Ben or Johnny,
really
one of them, have really caught Craig. And
so Craig DeLong starting to get caught up here by the rest of the field, and Ben Kelly had already pitted as well, so Ben really starting to shine as this race wears on.
It's going to be interesting to see if one of them pulls a gap or if they just stay in this freight train for a little while to see how the track wears in. But it's hot out there, so I'd want a little bit of a gap, and then you can calm it down towards the end. I wouldn't want to be going to the 3-hour mark down to the wire with these guys.
Well, Taylor, to touch on what you said just a minute ago as far as the way this course is shaped up, obviously to start the ATV day off, it was dry, it was dusty, it was almost silty. Then the rain came. Everything got sticky. You saw some people having vision issues. Here today, a little bit of moisture in the sand, but definitely not what we were seeing yesterday. Some riders going with the roll-offs, some going with the tear-offs. What do you think the best strategy is out here in the Florida sand?
I'd definitely be running the tear-offs today. It's wet out there, but not super wet. You should be able to make it through pretty good. And these guys are pitting, so they're going to swap goggles. The roll-offs, the sand can kind of get gritty underneath them, and it can make it hard if it's raining. For sure, they're great. But out here, just in the sand, I'd be running the tear-offs.
Absolutely. It looked like Ricky Russell tried to, or Craig DeLong, I'm sorry, tried an outside line that we saw Ben Kelly take a couple laps ago, and it didn't work out for him. So we'll see whether or not that plays into the hands of Ampro Yamaha's Ricky Russell, currently leading the way here in the XC1.
Yeah, I think he blew by Craig so fast that Craig wasn't even ready for that. Yeah. And now he's just like has to respond, but he wasn't ready, so it's like caught him off guard.
And it was pretty, relatively small, the difference there. Maybe 2 or 3 feet to the left or right, and he was able to blow by him.
I could see that Ricky was kind of committed to something when he came out of that left-hander. He was just like, on the throttle.
And that's what we talk about. These race lines make all the difference. They're not only fast, they're smart, they're strategic, and a lot of these guys planning sections where they know they've got maybe a back pocket line that if they're in the right position, if the guy in front of them is right there, they're able to uncork it, and that worked out well for the 212 machine.
Yeah, for sure. These guys know this track. They've ridden it quite a few times. It's usually around the same, so they have some lines up their sleeve for later on. I'm sure of that. They've walked it plenty enough, but they have to be close enough to make those lines count. But Craig's making that happen here, so that's cool to see.
Yeah, we look at the FMF PowerPoint. DeLong's not finished, folks.
But Ben's right there.
Yeah,
so
and I think
Johnny.
Johnny's right there as well.
Man,
wow,
they're going at it.
Your top 4 locked into a battle.
KR there pouring some water on the boys in the corner.
Got to keep it cool today.
Trying to help everybody out. Absolutely brutal down here in Palatka, Florida. Ricky Russell leads the way right now.
Some lappers getting out of the way. Hopefully they wait for all the riders. But
nope, they did not.
No.
There's a close one there. We see Ben Kelly, we noticed it towards the tail end of the race in Big Buck as well. When he gets hard on that KTM gas, the back end seems to shoot out. The guy's legs look like they're just permanently locked on the frame of the motorcycle, but when he is on the gas, that rear tire lights up and shoots out I think it actually might have jumped up and grabbed him at Big Buck at one point, ended up almost tossing him on the ground. So Ben Kelly clearly pushing the envelope hard to try to get up to the front. Craig DeLong and Ricky Russell doesn't want to let them run away.
No, you definitely don't want to be making up 30 seconds at the end of the race. You need to stay close now. You need to be in that train so you have any chance of making any moves later on.
Now Stu Baylor obviously taking the win at Big Buck. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it sounds like we've got Jackson down in the pits with the Rocky Mountain ATV KTM Tilly Energy team. We'll send it down to Jackson. Working. We had some technical difficulties. We'll drop back in with Jackson here in just a second.
We seem to have got her fixed. Anytime y'all can bring it back to me.
Oh, there we go. All right, let's talk to Jackson and see what's going on down in the pits.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Thanks. I'm down here with Todd Ely with Tilly Energy. Stu having a kind of start there, a little bit behind, and we saw, but now he's made a big charge back. Could you tell us a little more about what's going on?
Yeah, he hit his head somewhere. We don't kind of know where he's at. But, second lap coming through, he seems like he's in pretty good spirits here. Gonna make a move.
Okay, you planning on moving forward?
Yep.
All right, guys. That's Todd Ely with Tilly Energy. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, guys.
So interesting. Yeah, we were not exactly sure what the hand signal was that Stu was trying to tell his team when he came through the pitting area for the first time, but it sounds like he might have smacked his head on something.
Yeah, that's tough. If he did in this heat, it can really like bring on the symptoms later on, and we don't want any of that kind of thing happening. It can be scary out there, but hopefully he's not too bad. He can get some hydration into him and regroup and see if he can catch his front group.
Yeah, Stu, it definitely looked like he was able to kind of shake the cobweb, whether he had some fogginess after bumping his head or not, and he clearly seems to be putting on a charge. As we are an hour and 15 minutes into this 3-hour race here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. We got the drone shots. You guys can see these kids, I mean, just cutting through the woods there. Several different lines. I believe that, okay, so I think we're looking at Ricky Russell, Craig DeLong, and then there's the KTM boys just behind. We're going to take a minute here from our sponsors, and we'll be back for the 2023 GNCC Series.
Go get you a cigarette. I'm going to get you a cigarette.
Tires, a division of Greenball Corp, has been in the tire business for over 44 years. We're passionate about developing quality tires that perform great and bring extraordinary value to our customers. Whether you're looking for a tire that can handle your off-road adventures, need a reliable tire to take you from job site to job site, or simply want a tire with a beefier look that won't break the bank, then check out Canati Tires.
The United States Motorcycle Coaching Association has been setting a standard for motorcycle coaching since 2016. Coaching is important for all riders, no matter the age or skill level. The USMCA connects riders with coaches, whether the rider is just starting out on their motorcycling journey, to a competitive amateur racer looking to reach their next milestone, or the professional athlete trying to clinch a title. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app and get connected to a USMCA certified coach today.
TV.com. Mikey Wayne's here, joined alongside Zach Heron. Really cool to have Zacho and Taylor Jones join us in the booth to discuss racing earlier or throughout this race. Got a little distracted there. Mic cut out. Hey, we had a chance to do a little micro racing.
Micro racing going on.
Yeah, go ahead, Zach. Sorry, that we're gonna squash that mic right there, that headset. Yeah, micro racing. That actually kicked things off for us as far as the two-wheel side is concerned on Saturday, and while they were out there jockeying for position, my good buddy Maverick Boyer, if I'm not mistaken, came out and took the checkers in that micro race. Such a good kid, great family. And this is, I would say this is where it all starts. However, we know with the emergence, I guess, of a little rider down right there, of your Striders, and then on to the Stasics especially. There was a 514. I bet he's a Stu Baylor fan. With the Stasics, by the time they get to the micros at a GNCC, they are old wily veterans. They have been racing more than half their lives. And there is Maverick Boyer. Look fast, go fast. 002 on the machine. Little Crew Russell. Got champion blood in him right there, no doubt about that. Thank you, Adam Gordon. And there you go. That was our micro feature, and I believe we're going to take a look at the Stasics as well.
Yeah, so we saw what these guys could turn into. Let's show you where they start out. The Stasic Racing, really creating a new generation of racers out here for GNCC. Little mud wrestling. We love it. It's good for the soul.
They exfoliate out there in the sand. How about that? So, yeah, Stasic race, very cool. Get the little Roopers out there.
Yeah, Grim's actually having one of our own do the Pledge of Allegiance like you're doing in school. I like that.
Really cool, really cool. And Ricky Towery. And also, to that point, you know, a shout-out to Ricky Towery, a shout-out to Griff Cotter, DJ Judd, and everybody that helps out at the Stasic race. If you've been out here at the track, you know, it's a long day. If you've ever worked one of these events, it's a long day that is non-stop. So for those guys to go out there and, you know, they're not racing for points, but don't tell them that. They're banging bars, they're rubbing elbows, leaning into corners, get the foot out. See, right there, look at that. Look at racecraft. Doing it in the 2-2, the 128. It's a thing of beauty. Dad said, wake it up. You got to go. Oh, contact. I told you. I mean, it's looking like Chase Sexton and Justin Barsha right there.
I'm telling you what, they may be cute, but there is nothing cuddly about them. They mean business in the Stasic. You walk across that starting line, it is all serious.
Oh, that's as good as it gets. Yeah, as we say, that is what GNCC racing is all about right there. As we jump back in here with the Yamaha Live Drone by Yamaha Racing, and Craig DeLong, as you guys were talking about, great start, and then here comes Ricky Russell, here comes Ben Kelly, here comes Johnny Gerard, and we can throw a blanket over those guys at this point. I got to think, you know, at the end of last season, Craig DeLong, he was doing so well, and I asked him at Ironman, I said, man, you've been battling for podiums. You've been right there. And I know it was an injury-plagued season for some guys, but once you get that taste of a podium, you crave it. Once you get that taste of a win, you crave it. And he said, yeah, I really feel like I've been putting in the training not to just compete for podiums moving into 2023, but I want to compete for wins. Big Buck didn't happen. Wasn't real happy about how he finished that one, as you guys alluded to. And it comes out here swinging, and while he's got another hour and 40 minutes to go, fantastic start for Craig DeLong. He's in the fight. He's where we expect to see Craig DeLong.
Absolutely, and just like Zach Osborne said earlier, you know, this is a mental roller coaster. GNCC racing is a mental roller coaster as much as it is anything else. Had a strong end to the 2022 season, a great off season as well. But when he came to round number one, if you don't get the results that you're looking for, that can be disheartening. Craig DeLong was able to go back, regroup. We knew he was disappointed with Big Buck, but the fact that he was able to regroup, come back, and show up focused and ready for wild boar is impressive as well.
Yeah, Craig, he's just a hard worker, and I heard Zach O talking about the fitness level. Like, we'll just stick with this one. Zach O's just, like he said, he's always been fit, Craig DeLong, but there's just something about this year. You could tell that he put in the work, put in that extra effort in the offseason to set himself apart from the rest. So it'd be fun to watch him battling with the AmPro Yamaha Ricky Russell on a new old bike, if you will. Ricky Russell returning to that Yamaha ride.
Impressive ride for Walker, or for Lafferty as well. We just saw him on screen, picking up right where he left off at Big Buck. The number 10 Gas. Really felt strong earlier. We ran by the team, said how's things looking, how's everybody feeling. They said it was great, and so impressive ride there from the number 10 Coastal Gas. Adam Gordon in here doing some quick work for us, making sure we're all set up.
That should work now.
Only the best.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, hey, while we're watching these guys, I want to show some love to the XC2 class as we're watching this battle unfold on Racer TV. Here, Ryder Lafferty, after 2 laps, picks up where he left off just a couple of rounds ago, or a round ago, I should say. Jonathan Johnson sitting in the 2 spot. Cody Barnes in 3rd, Draper 4th, and Grant Davis. How about it for Grant Davis? Seeing some results right there in the top 5. Lyndon Snodgrass, that rider, as you guys saw on the start line, went down, was last into the woods, and went to work immediately. And no panic button, chill, calm. He said to himself, hey, it's Florida. It's 3 hours. I got plenty of time to get back up there and get up there and run with the leaders.
Well, and you hear that a lot down here in Florida. Energy conservation is definitely on a lot of their minds. It's 3 hours long. It's tough. As the body starts to become more and more fatigued, the mind starts to go with it. Snodgrass had that win almost. He could almost taste it in Big Buck. Ryder Lafferty got around him. He was disappointed, but definitely not the start that the number 1 was looking for here at Wild Boar.
Good stuff. I think back, I would say last year, but honestly every year when we wrap up here, but there was a video that went out that went viral to people that watch racing and don't watch racing, and it was basically the pro guys depleted after the race, and there's an image of Trevor Bollinger that sticks out to me. He's sitting in the sand, the hands are on the knees, the sweat is pouring, the man is drooling after this race, and this is one of those we point to where we talk about that resting heart rate of these guys being in the 180 marks, and medical doctors going, absolutely not, impossible. And we say, yeah, this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is what they do. We just talk about it, but they do it.
Yeah, my heart rate monitor is in the green right now.
Yeah,
Mikey, but,
I'm safe.
Yeah, I think we're doing okay. But no, it's comparable to like Southwick or even Freestone on the motocross side. It's going to be hot. It's going to be dirty and gritty. As we are drone shot here, trying to make sure we haven't had anybody switch position on us.
I like what Johnny said, flying in formation. I love that.
Absolutely.
Got our ducks in a row. They were working around some lap traffic right there, which, as you'd mentioned, Zach, I heard, just that added factor, and they get into it early here in Florida.
Well, and even if you want to look at the WXC class in Big Buck, Corey Steed and Rachel Archer, they said they swapped that first place position 6 to 8 times on the last lap alone, and both of them said lappers were a huge factor. And so we saw Ricky Russell when he made the pass. It was line choice. They split a lapper. That could have been the reason that Ricky decided to go to the left-hand side and Craig DeLong chose to stick to the right-hand side. So definitely going to play a factor in the way things shake out as well.
Man, I got to think everybody right now is almost, I won't say content, but they're settled into that race pace, and I want to stay with this guy. And it looks, as you'd mentioned, real reminiscent of Big Buck a couple of weeks ago where you could throw a blanket over 4 or 5 guys at one time. It's looking like that again here today. I kind of was expecting, I thought Big Buck, hey, everybody said the same thing, I want to see checkers today. And I thought, okay, the gloves are going to be off for Florida. These boys are going to be ready to go. But seeing mature, smart riding out of these guys, making sure they hit those marks and making sure they're there to be in it in that last hour when it really begins to wear on you and make a difference.
Exactly, Mikey. These guys they're all top-level professional athletes. They've worked with their teams. They've come up with plans, and they know, hey, look, I've got to run as strong as I can, but don't empty your gas tank out. Make sure you've got energy for that last 60 minutes. 60 minutes sounds like a long time, but for these guys, that is the final third. That's when it's time to drop the hammer and really put a charge on for the checkered flag.
Hey, man, while we watch these guys, take a look real fast here at the FMF IMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Of course, we know the stellar ride Toby Cleveland had 2 weeks ago at Big Buck. Was up into the top, I believe. He was in the top 20, I believe 12th in the overall on adjusted time. Right now sits in the 2 spot behind Jack Walker aboard that gas, who's leading it by 6 seconds. Toby Cleveland is in second, Dakota DeVore third, Van Gosselin fourth, and Jason Liscombe rounding out the top 5 in that 125 class.
Yeah, Toby Cleveland, both at Big Buck and here at Wild Boar. Probably the biggest hole shot award goes to him for both weekends. Toby Cleveland definitely got something figured out there on that Yamaha 125.
Grabbing the low jack cycle sales hole shot. Congratulations to him on that. And by the way, hand it to Ben Nelko. I got all distracted. He's 125 on his old number 125 on the scoring sheet, and I look. And I'm like, I think that's Ben. I'm like, wait, that's not 125. And then he was gone. And then after the thought, I'm like, yeah, Ben Nelko. I got to make up for that. Show you some love, Ben. My apologies, buddy. I got you dialed now, 407.
He threw us a curveball there.
He threw me a little curveball. He said that wrong Burgundy. We'll read anything on the teleprompter. But nonetheless, and that's one of those building blocks. If you're Ben Nelko, you want to run up there with some front guys and increase or better your race finishes. A hole shot, that's one of those things, and it's not one of those that you look to of like, hey, I'm going to get the hole shot and I'm going to run away with it. That's not where Ben Nelko's at. But to give yourself a huge confidence boost, that hole shot's huge.
As we look on screen, we catch a glimpse. I believe that is Ricky Russell and then one of the FMF KTM boys. So here we are at the Monster Mile.
Look at this.
Wow, shaping up. Let's see, is that, I'm not sure whether that was Ben or whether that was Johnny. I do think that was still Ben Kelly just behind.
There's Craig.
And then Craig DeLong sitting in fourth.
I believe that was still Caleb Russell over there splashing the boys with some water. Love to see that. And that right there, that's an example of just how skilled our pro riders are rolling through there. Hollywood giving us the signal, letting us know we got more of the pro guys rolling through here as we've been concerned about Stu Baylor, the reverse plate, the points leader.
Stu is on the gas.
He's on the gas, man. He has to be. I mean, he's on that island by himself right now. He's got to get up in the fight with that lead pack. And boy, who do you not want behind you? The defending champ and Jordan Ashburn.
I don't know. I'm telling you what, Stu Baylor, he looked like he was 100% focused forward. You could almost see the anger, just the frustration. Yeah. He's taking it out on that Rocky Mountain ATV-MC Tele Energy KTM. So really, we're an hour and a half in, the halfway mark roughly. Yeah. So Stu Baylor, I don't know if he's going to start this thing 30 minutes early and just put a charge on all the way to checkered flags or what, but he's definitely moving forward.
Baylor heavy, man. The diesel's getting warmed up. And that is bad news for anybody in his way. And 37 seconds, that's a report we're getting on the gap between Stu Baylor and that lead pack that you can throw a blanket over. So it'll be interesting when they check in, because they will be checking in for a third lap completed here in about 2 minutes to see where he stacks up in these last few miles when he checks into the checkers, if he's able to chip away at that a little bit.
There's the 407 Nelco. So Rocky Mountain ATV-MC Tele Energy KTM got to be feeling good right now with 2 of those bikes inside the top 10. Had some bad luck at Big Buck. Had some bad luck and some good luck. They were the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
That's it.
Good to see the KTM performing well out here. Looking like I think I saw Josh Strang as well on that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki in the back end of the top 10. So Strang trying to put together some good results out here in the sand as well.
And I was watching with you guys, Ricky Russell not taking fuel, correct, on that pit stop. Correct. So he will have to come in for a fuel stop this lap around. So where will that put Ben Kelly, Johnny Gerard, Ashburn, and Baylor? Of course, Baylor got around Ashburn and on the move. There is Josh Strang, that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki ride. Loving the sand. I asked him about, racing down here in Florida, and if he loved it. He's like, yeah, I like it. There goes Grant Baylor right there. But love it? I don't know. He said, I'm gonna get out there and run my pace. And he's wise. You know, he's the wily veteran. He knows how grueling this round is. And so it looks like he's settled into that pace right there.
Absolutely. I was just about to say, I think Josh has got the mind game figured out. He knows what he needs to do by this point.
Just when you want to count Josh String out, he comes and does something incredible. And I believe we saw Ryder Lafferty in the mix with the XC1 guys leading that XC2 class.
Just being a little nosy there, I was looking at the pit board on one of the Babbitt's Kawasaki guys. Not sure if they were...
You can see that?
Just barely.
Got amazing eyes,
Racer
man.
TV cameras out
there
here.
You
That's
go.
all what it is. So, but it said P7 and then pace right there on the bottom. So a lot of these guys still being told, think about your energy, think about that last hour. So not sure whether that was Josh Strang or Grizzly Grant Baylor getting that pit board there. I believe it would have been Strang, but pace, all that's being told right now for the Kawasaki.
Saw right there at the tail end, the 198 of Liam Draper. Not too far off the pace of the XC2 leaders. See if he can get up into a podium position right now. And leaders due in any second now. Actually a little late, so they've slowed up a bit, as we know.
And this will be interesting to watch. So Ben Kelly really not far off of the back of the Ampro Yamaha. Ben Kelly has already pitted, so definitely looking like more than likely both of the FMF Red Bull KTMs are going to be able to get around when Ricky Russell goes into the pits. Going to grab fuel, probably some goggles as well. So really the question is going to be how far it's going to put Ricky back after that pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, they'll have it dialed. They'll certainly have it dialed at the Ampro Yamaha pits, but...
Oh, it's like a NASCAR pit crew. It's incredible to watch these guys do it.
Have an IMS tank ready to roll, but we will be getting a chance to watch the KTM teammates go to work, and then we'll have to see where Ricky Russell checks in. And producer brings up a good point. Johnny Gerard, the healthy rider of KTM, Ben Kelly, who's kind of, speaking sort of in generalizations for those that aren't aware, he obviously had the very bad break and re-injured that. Now, obviously not as severe, but nonetheless, call it what it is. The man's out there racing with a fractured leg. And that is, I said it, we're separating the men from the boys, we're separating the women from the girls here this weekend. And quite frankly, no matter, Ben blew me away last week, or last race, and today's, it's an impressive ride again. And you just you can't help but wonder in the back of your mind, if he can get to 100% at some point this season, is a scary, scary thought.
Well, the mental fortitude that goes along with that. Imagine you have a horrible break, you go through all the pain, all the suffering, you get healed up, and then you have an injury again. Whether it's the same extent or not, to have that same leg get hurt, for a lot of people, that can be demoralizing. It can break them in the mind. Ben Kelly looking rock solid as he is really putting pressure on Ricky Russell. He doesn't care whether he needs to pit or not. He said, I'm going for it.
Yeah, he's got to push that pace up there, because he knows he's going to lose a little bit of time on these guys once they get to our pit stop.
And I think Johnny Gerard's playing a smart game right now as well, hanging on the back of his teammate. You see him he'll just start to pop into the bottom of the screen. So Johnny Gerard going to be in the mix in this as well so far.
Oh boy, oh that was close.
That was close,
Getting around some lap traffic right there, tight. The technical riding skill, the racecraft of Ben Kelly. I love these shots right here. We talk about those race lines at a GNCC, and it's very common to see these guys from what you can see, what looks like a good race line to us on TV. A lot of times you'll see our pro guys on the outside or the inside of that, just because that's the worn-in line. Those are your novice riders out there in the morning. Now, we got some pro classes, WXC, some Sportsman A, former pros, what have you, but the majority of those lines, not necessarily because it's the worn-in line, is the best line. And when you watch, Ben Kelly, great example of that, of working the track and finding what some of the riders may not be seeing.
Well, absolutely. You see the same thing in motocross as well. Majority of your amateur racers, usually it's right up the middle. And now we see your leader, Ricky Russell, coming into the pits.
All hands on deck.
But those pro guys, they're using every inch out there. You can see the KTM boys right there on the far left-hand side, almost touching the banners as they go down. So Ricky Russell in and out. I believe I only saw the two KTMs come by.
Yeah, I think, didn't see anybody else get around Ricky Russell right there, so I think it's KTM boys out front. Ben Kelly leading the way, and Johnny Gerard behind him in the 2 spot. Time to see if the KTM boys play nice.
I'm telling you what, Johnny Girardi's got to catch back up to his teammate before they're going to be playing it all. Ben Kelly must have seen Ricky go into the pits and was like, now's my chance, because he has dropped the hammer. There goes Stu Baylor coming through.
And is Stu, okay. Man, I thought there for a second he might be stopping into the pits again. He did say something.
Yeah, definitely some type of dialogue back and forth there. Take a look back over his shoulder at his team once again, but shouldn't be needing fuel or anything like that. Stu pit on that first lap with the rest of the KTM boys, so seems like there's been a lot of communication between the team and rider there for the 514 here this weekend.
So hats off to Ben Kelly as he got the clean air out front. You got to think he was sitting there playing it smart in the second spot. He knew, probably got the pit boards. Ricky Russell's going to have to pit. Conserve your energy, keep him in your sights, and once he jumps in that pit, now get on the throttle. And we just got the report. Radio chatter is it will be a 5-lap race here today. That's kind of what we had anticipated. They're running right in that 30-minute mark as far as lap times, but Ben Kelly is doing what Ben Kelly does best right now, and that's racecraft, riding smart. And he's got the clean air in front of him now and just has to worry about coursing his way around lap traffic when he gets to it and maintaining a gap.
Well, we touched on it yesterday as well, Mikey, the sign of a mature racer and a racer that really feels in control of his own race. Patience.
Yeah.
Ben Kelly wasn't pushing the issue. He knew he could catch up to the back of Ricky Russell. We saw him drop back a little bit, especially I noticed when they were getting close to any section with water, you would notice Ben would kind of drop back a little bit. I'm gonna tell myself that he was doing that intentionally but, to protect his vision. But Ben really not letting himself make any mistakes by riding over his head and letting the race come to him, as the guys like to say.
There you go. Yeah, let the race come to you. Race the track in front of you, and Ben's not going to worry about what's going on behind him. Rarely see him look over the shoulder. Yeah, that's a good point Adam Gordon just made. And we talked a little bit about that, about last year, Ben Kelly coming off of the track. And I asked him off air, could you, because I mean, he comes off of a 3-hour race here in the sands of Florida with the win, convincing win by a good margin, and there is Johnny Girard behind him trying to keep pace. But I asked him, could you go another hour? Kind of joking, but also serious, like wanting to measure. There was Ricky Russell. So Ricky Russell only lost the 2 spots, but he's going to have some company here real soon. Thad Duvall off the machine.
Off the bike.
He said hi. So maybe we can get a word in down there at the Coastal Racing Gas pits.
Yeah, Thad was having a good race as well.
Man, I hate to see that.
Looks to be okay, though. Relatively good spirits, at least when he saw the camera. So hopefully he is okay, but definitely tough luck.
And, we as a matter of fact, didn't have him check in for a second lap completed, so he's been there for a second. I don't know if Johnny G and Jackson are around the pits area down there. If we can try to get a word in with Thad Duvall, find out what's going on. Tyler Medaglia, the other rider there, which we saw him have some troubles early. Wasn't sure if it was the machine or what. He's only checked in for the 1 lap completed, the rider out of Canada, who had a good ride going early. Medaglia, a few of these GNCCs, man, he's been up there early.
Old T-Dags knows how to get it done.
Absolutely.
So right now, Ben Kelly, you just watched right through there. He was able to get around a couple of lap riders and really slowing down significantly when he needs to. It comes back to the patience thing. When he gets to a slower rider, maybe the rider's in the best spot to make a pass. Maybe he's got to check up to get around him cleanly. Ben, oftentimes you see some of the younger, more antsy riders. Yeah. They're just like, I'm going to be wide open and you can get out of the way or be in the way, but I'm coming either way.
That's it. It's that young buck mentality.
Absolutely.
The old bucks out there in row 1, but the young bucks, it's just go, go, go. Here I am, chest out, head up,
It is working out.
Okay, there we go.
Wow, okay. You said it was a big gap. Adam Gordon giving us some stats here. Over a 4-minute gap last year for Ben Kelly when he took the win. That is I don't think Ricky Carmichael could even touch that one.
Ooh, that was, that was stellar. I don't know. Give the GOAT maybe 3 hours. Not in the woods. Apples and oranges. We know that. I don't want to start that debate.
I don't know about that one.
But hey, Caleb Russell, we'll throw him out there. We'll have to ask Caleb in between this race and the next, what was his biggest gap win? And Caleb probably knows down to the tenths of a second, be my guess. And sounds like Jackson Burrell is down at the Coastal Racing Gas pits with Thad Duvall.
Thanks, guys. Yes, I'm down here in the gas pits with Thad Duvall. Thad, you were having a good race. Could you tell us a little more what's going on?
Not really sure. Just a little bike malfunction. Just cut out on me, wouldn't start back up. And just had a decent start, got up with those guys, and then had a fall, and then was able to catch back up and felt pretty good. And then just, like a little something's going on we don't really know. So we'll get her fixed and bounce back around 2 and hammer it out.
All right. Thanks, Thad. Back to you guys.
Well, that's a bummer. Hate to hear that for Thad. But I got to say, Thad's had some issues in the past. So there's no secret about that, whether it was, mechanical or an injury or whatever. Thad seems like excited about racing again. And today is a little setback, but he's in one piece, and he's going to be back in Georgia. And I think he's got a very positive mindset in this last off season to this season.
That's what I was just about to say. Even in the interview right there, sometimes you'll hear riders, they're clearly very frustrated, they're very down. Thad just kind of, hey, it is what it is. And I think same thing. He's thinking he's healthy. He's going to be able to go a week later and respond at the General. So tough luck for Thad Duvall, but we can't wait to see him at the next round. Out in Georgia, still following the KTM, Ben Kelly getting it done on that Red Bull FMF KTM here at the FMF PowerPoint. And just behind him, the other Red Bull FMF KTM, Johnny Gerard. I feel like Johnny's closed that gap up significantly since the last time we checked in. So Johnny's starting to track down his teammate.
Yeah, Ben Kelly coming out of that FMF PowerPoint, little dab, little doggy paddling.
And now,
not a huge mistake, but enough for Johnny to start reeling him in a bit.
And then there is the 212 of Ricky.
Ricky Russell with the splash of water. That's got to be so refreshing for a split second.
And then that should be DeLong there right behind Ricky Russell. So similar to what we saw about a lap and a half ago, Ricky Russell and Craig DeLong on linking up. So we'll see whether the Husky riders able to get back around that Ampro Yamaha. And then, wow, not far back at all. Stu Baylor definitely still moving forward on the KTM. And I think the last thing you want to do is let Stu catch a glimpse of you.
Oh, yeah.
Because once he sees you, I don't think he's going to let up.
Yeah, and there is Jordan Ashburn, and it at a glance looked like the jersey was torn on the right arm. It is. Someone get that man some sunscreen. We're in Florida. I doubt he's worried about that. But nonetheless, obviously took a little stinger, tree, something. Maybe Stu Baylor's handlebar. I don't know. But
I think he was trying to do what Stu did at Big Buck. Is that ventilation, that extra ventilation.
That's it.
Makes all the difference down here in Florida.
Yeah, Stu Baylor, to your point, kicking up the sand, goodness gracious. But to your point, it breathes life into you. You see the guy, you're out there, you're on the island by yourself, you got the axe out, you're chipping away at it, and just a moment you're like, oh, can I keep doing this? All you need is a glimpse, or you just need to audibly hear the guy in front of you, and it is that breath of fresh air, like Caleb Russell down there with the water bottles on the back. Same thing, you see the guy in front of you, okay, I can go get that guy. I just found another gear, I got more in the tank.
Well, we saw it in the WXC class today as well. Rachel Archer was trying to track down Rachel Gudish right as they were coming into scoring. Gudish was leaving, Archer was coming in. She looked over and caught a glimpse of her just as she sneaked into the woods. The next lap, the positions had swapped. So definitely lights a fire in you when you see the next rider in line.
Well, Ricky Russell checked in first place. We know the new leader now is Ben Kelly with Johnny Gerard in the number 2 spot. Craig DeLong up there in the fight, as well as Stu Baylor, Jordan Ashburn not far off that pace. Ben Nelko checked in the 7th spot. 8th is Josh Strang, the Grizzly Grant Baylor 9th, and Trevor Bollinger rounding out the top 10. And let's talk about Bollinger for a second. Comes in not 100% for round 1. Has a little get off, has not a nasty injury, but an injury nonetheless. Wasn't able to finish the race, and I hadn't spoke with him between now and then. Caught him earlier yesterday, and I said, "You're racing, right?" He said, "Yes, I am." He said, "I feel good, and I want to go out there today. I want to see, or this weekend, I want to see the checkers and come away with a good points day." And I think he's doing exactly that right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Trevor. I like that he didn't shy away from the fact that he wasn't at 100%.
Yeah.
Sometimes these guys, they put on a face and they try to say, "Oh, nothing's wrong." But Trevor obviously wasn't able to finish the race at Big Buck, but was like, "Hey, look, I'm a little beat up. Not 100%." Yeah. But I'm out here, and I don't think he'd be lining up if he didn't feel like he would have a shot to score some good points. And this is, they say you win your championships on your bad days, you get your results on your bad days. So Trevor trying to limit the damage there early in this season, and really expecting to see him come to life as the series continues to go forward.
Absolutely. Leading the XC2 after 3, Ryder Lafferty, who's coming off the win, looking to make it 2 for 2 to start the year. And how about this? Ryder Lafferty leading when he checked in for third lap completed by 47.5 seconds over the beta ride to Jonathan Johnson. Liam Draper, that was him I saw earlier, the 198 Am-Pro Yamaha in the 3 spot. Imagine that, the New Zealand rider, loving the sand. Cody Barnes in the 4 spot, and Grant Davis rounding out the top 5. Lennon Snodgrass still chipping away at this one, sits in the 6th place position and about 13 seconds back from the young guy of Grant Davis. We'll see what he has got for Grant as this one wears on in lap 4.
Yeah, sounds like the Phoenix Honda rider of Cody Barnes just slipping out of that 3rd place podium spot in the XC2 class. So we'll see whether or not he's able to respond. But for right now, we're going to grab a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
Every race, every day, in every way. Print, social, digital, video, photo. Every race, every day. Every result, every story, every rider, everything. Moto every day with Racer X.
In the premier form of off-road motorcycle racing in the world, it's the beginning of a new era. 17 Supercross, 11 motocross, and those 3 playoff rounds.
Super Motocross World Championship Final. Tickets on sale now. Visit supermotocross.com.
30-second card is up. We've talked all about it. We've watched practice and qualifying. We've theorized. We've bench raced. Now it is time to go. Ropes are up. Gates down. Side by side we go. Jet Lord, Justin Cooper in front of the crowd. Winner from Chase Sexton. Can anyone else get up in the mix? They have been 1-2 in the last 7 motos of this championship. Here we go.
Oh, and welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Earlier this morning, had a little youth racing action, and hey, I won't say heavy favorite, but the heavy hitter, Ryan Amancio, with a great start, the 360 KTM. Somewhere, he's going to pop in the screen. All right. Where was he at? Where was the 360? How about the 316? But I know Amancio was up front. Maybe it was a different row. Nonetheless.
No, it was Amancio, Mike.
Okay.
You're right. So
Okay.
Amancio had the lead on that first lap and then lost it, got it back, and I thought he had the race won. And then with 1 lap to go, there he is. He disappeared. So Ryan Amancio had bad luck there right on the last lap. I'm not sure whether it was a bike malfunction or what, but one of the last riders to come through. And now taking a look at our pit bike action as well.
Jumped right into it.
Absolutely.
Our very own Richards got the win, though, right? Okay.
Yes. So Canyon and Ryan, they were locked into a battle going all the way into the last lap, and then Ryan still not sure. I think it might have been, we heard he might have run out of gas there on the last lap, so a heartbreak.
Yeah, Fuel Ministries in-house with us here this weekend. Love having those guys out. They always make it to Florida, and they run this pit bike.
Almost like a time trial.
Time trial, yeah. They got a name for it, like Bar Bangers or something like that.
What I'm trying to see is whether or not our very own Jackson Burrell made the highlight reel, because he jumped on a pit bike as well.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, a ton of fun. Basically bring your pit bike. They got a few of them down there as well. You can throw your leg over that, and there's nothing like ripping a pitter on a Friday or a Saturday evening. Really cool stuff. So back with the race in action.
Sleeveless race in action there. I like it.
And I want to take a look at our amateur rundown now. Show some love to the amateur riders. As we know, hey, grassroots GNCC, more than just the pros. There you go, 95% of riders come out of those amateur ranks. And a matter of fact, your favorite pro rider, believe it or not, back in the day, he was an amateur rider. How about that? So as we highlight these, we'll take a look. The Rocky Mountain ATV Amateur Rundown, your Junior A, Garrett Edmondson. How about that? Out of Florida, getting it done in the home state so far. Gregory Funk. Who's got the funk? Gregory got the funk. Andrew France in the 3 spot. Michael Weidman in 4th, and Jeremy Buck rounding out that top 5. Benjamin Fricks, great guy right there in the 8th spot. Statesboro, Georgia rider. Did a Tuesday toolbox with him a couple of years ago. Very interesting guy. Junior B, 25 plus, Joseph Dukes out of Macon, Georgia. Georgia boys getting a head start on heading to Georgia in a week. Luke Hendrickson in the number 2 spot. John Bottomby 3rd. Devin Hall 4th out of Huntington, West Virginia. James McGetty, Sterling Edwards, Ty Roberts, Logan Robinette, Billy Saliga, one of my favorite names. Maybe it's Saliga, but I always say Saliga. I'm going with it. Smock PA rider on the KTM, and Corey King running out the top 10.
Great racing there in the Vet A classes. If you guys don't have the opportunity to come to a GNCC, you miss a lot of the amateur action that starts out first thing in the morning, but it's worth checking out. It's some great racing. It's like we were talking about this morning at your local basketball. You don't play your Parks and Rec game and then get to watch LeBron James play later. You do it at GNCC.
That's it. That's it. Nicholas Hunter leading the way there for the Vet A 30 plus. Robbie Norwood, the North Carolina ride. Honda. Mike Carrasco, loving it. Vet B 30 plus. Juan Lozada out of Miami, Florida. We always get a lot of like French Canadian and Canadian riders down here this weekend, and obviously our friends of South America and the Puerto Rican riders come out in droves. Sean Natasti, James Muntz, Scott Hopper, Gabriel Praxidis out of Clinton, Massachusetts. Rounding out the top 5 there. Ricky Stanley back in the 7th spot. And taking a look now, Senior A 40 plus, Joe Marsh, Indianola, Pennsylvania, leading the way. Frank Messina, what a great guy. Frank Messina, really cool dude, out of Campbell Hall, New York in the number 2 spot. Lane Wildfong in 3rd. Joe Dean out of North Carolina in the 4th spot, and Barry McCarty in 5th. Joel Schultz, Joshua Wyatt with Jessney Arsenault in 8th. Chris Oyes and Robert Johnson rounding out the top 10 there for your Senior A 40 plus. Senior B 40 plus now out of Medina, Ohio, aboard the Honda. George Klein's leading the way with Martin Fortier in the number 2 spot. There you go, Quebec, love it. Aaron McAfee in the number 3 spot out of Harrisonburg, Virginia. William Steinbach out of Osteen, Florida in 4th with Larry Hopper rounding out the top 5. Brett Maynard in 6th place with Nicholas Pignatio in 7th. Jesse Arsenault 8th. Chris Oyes, and I feel like some of those are duplicate names. Maybe I'm crazy.
Definitely recognize the Oyes last name.
Or it was just a big coincidence, and we are back with the XC1 Pro. And we know Ben Kelly actually leading this one as he has gotten out front after Ricky Russell had to stop and pit. Johnny Gerard in the 2 spot. Craig DeLong there in the fight. Stu Baylor, the Diesel, he's warming up. Baylor heavy, trying to go up there and get at least in a podium position. Ashburn 6th. Ben Nelko after grabbing a whole shot in the 7th spot. Josh Strang, the Ole Wiley veteran, in the top 10 there. Grant Baylor, his teammate, just behind him in 9th. And the XC2, Ryder Lafferty, my goodness, picking up where he left off a couple of weeks ago. I had a good feeling about Ryder Lafferty today. He was under the weather coming into round one, pulled off the win. I said, do you feel good today? He's like, I feel great. Okay, feel great, and you didn't feel good in the last one. You got the win. You should get the win today, and he's doing just that. Jonathan Johnson in the 2 spot. Great ride for Liam Draper so far, rounding out that top 3. Snodgrass got to get moving. Got to get moving after that rough start. That's got to be tough, though. Toby Cleveland leading the way there in the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am. And Toby comes out, was moving in round one, 12th in the overall and adjusted time. And I think if I'm Jack Walker, if I'm Dakota DeVore, Van Gosselin, Liscombe, Lynn, Sawyer Coratura, and I see that, no, not happening again. I'm not letting this guy out of my sights. We can't let him run away with this championship. Open A, Hunter Bush out front. Chase Colville on the Kawasaki. He had his own share of troubles in round number 1. Good to see him out here doing well in Florida. Zachary Davidson, great rider, was an amazing youth rider sitting in the 3 spot. Hunter Smith in 4th. Jeremy Wallstrom rounding out the top 5 there. Chase Hayes, Huck Jenkins, Trevor Goetz with Samuel Evans, and Chance Malin rounding out the top 10. Open B, Tom Amos out of the UK. How about that? I told you. A GNCC Racing Nation is worldwide. Jim Cagle in the 2 spot. Andrew Post in the 3rd spot. Colton Kuntz in 4th place with Chandler Taylor in 4th, and Jet Leatherwood rounding out the top 6 there. Taylor Myers 7th. Dylan Fleming 8th. 9th place is Lane Morrison, and Connor Lawrence rounding out the top 10. $250A. Lane Whitmer, man, what a bad dude right there. Leading the way on the gas ride. Bolton B. Roth in the number 2 spot. Will Sievenpiper in 3rd place. Jason Tino in 4th at Magna One Motorsports Husqvarna. And the 210045 of Palmer, that might be Tyler Palmer, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I got that correct. I hope that's TP right there. Cole Whitmer back in the 6th spot. Trevor Maley 7th. Good ride. Robert Weiss in the 1st place position. Rivers Morris. Rivers was a great rider in the youth ranks just a season ago. Bain Croft in the 3 spot. Sky Metcalf having a great ride. Sky Metcalf on the Sturco out of Quebec. They've actually been our next door neighbors all weekend here at the TV trailer. He said, if you see me out there, cheer me on, man. I want to do well. And hey, Sky, you're doing well, man. You're in the 4 spot. Lucas Rubenstein in the 5 spot. Gavin Guthrie 6th, 7th. Brady Robbins, David Fontaine, Ty Kelly, and Zachary Braziel. 150A, man, some of those aren't changing there at the bottom, but the leaders did. Peyton Harden leading the way. Ryan Gribben into the 2nd place position. Matthew Webb 3rd. Colin Anderson 4th, and David Johnson will round out the top 5. And some of those duplicate names there toward the bottom out of that 150A class would be a little mixed up there. And 150B, Garrett McLaughlin, Northfield Center, Ohio on the Yamaha leading the way. Noah McGraw out of Woodruff, South Carolina in 2nd. Gavin Hampton 3rd. Caden Childers in 4th place. And Dylan Sharp out of Connecticut rounding out the top 5. Caleb Montgomery 6th. And then again, Brady Robbins, David Fontaine, Ty Kelly, and Zachary Braziel must be just running like every single class.
He said, I'm going to run them all.
So I don't know what's going on there. But hey, from 8th to 10th, disregard. We got you, though. There we go. There we go. Nick DeFeo, T-Rex, leading the way for the 4-stroke A-Lights. Youth champion from last year, youth overall champ. All he does is win, baby. Caleb Baltimore in the 2 spot. Cameron Madison in 3rd with Ash Brewer in the 4 spot. Ryan Piper rounding out the top 5. Gavin Sievenpiper, Justin Brazia. There's those names again. They just keep popping up. But Colton Shields, Eli Childers, Pat Meehan out there doing their thing as well. 4-stroke B lights, Clayton Robbins, Rayleigh Messer, Brock Bell-Soul, Robert DeLahey, the 4th, attorney at law. I don't know if that's true. Noblesville, Indiana. It's my neck of the woods. Got our screen, watching the leaders right here through the Monster Mile. Andrew Seegers having a good ride out there in the top 10. Alexis Ome in 8th, 9th, Benjamin Coleman and Randall Zierden rounding out the top 10. And there you go, your Rocky Mountain ATV MC Amateur Rundown show a little love to some of the amateur riders out there. Love it. Ben Kelly out in front. And he's got a gap now. Now we're seeing what he can do. Out in front with some clean air as Johnny Gerard just rolls through right there. We didn't miss anybody, did we?
Not that I saw.
I didn't see DeLong. We're looking for DeLong or Stu Baylor. Jordan Ashburn wasn't too off the pace. Hollywood down there getting the word in the sand.
See who we've got popping out. There's Stu.
Got that reverse plate. Stu Baylor, your points leader, coming into today and seeing a bit of a sense of urgency in the 514 Teely Energy KTM right there.
Really kind of different than what we've seen at Big Buck. As he sounds like he may have worked his way into that final podium spot. Big Buck, he got the start and was kind of able to not cruise but maintain from there, whereas
and he is in third because there is Craig DeLong, the 342 Rockstar Energy Husky.
And then there is Ricky Russell behind Craig DeLong. So DeLong, I believe, actually got around Ricky Russell as well after Ricky's pit stop. The Rockstar Husky rider, I think, was just behind Russell. So DeLong still fighting hard here as we go into the final hour. There's Jordan Ashburn coming through, running that extra ventilated Moose Racing gear.
He got the extra ventilated. Man, shout out to Magna One Motorsports on the graphics for the bikes this year. Just stellar. Look at that old school look. Love it.
Such a cool style. And shout out to Moose Racing as well. This is the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. They're doing a special gear in remembrance of Fred Fox. So that's a pretty cool thing going on with Moose Racing and the Parts Unlimited guys. Being nosy here, looking at that pit board as well, but
that is interesting. Our producer keeping his eyes and ears on the stats, if you will, the timing and scoring. And he said both Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor, the gap is about the same, but they've both wicked it up. They're both riding faster, but the gap remains the same. And the guy in the middle there, Johnny Gerard, no matter how you look at it for Johnny Gerard right now, he's got his hands full.
Yeah, it's when we.
Ooh,
and this is what we're talking about. You touched on it a little early, Mikey. These guys make it look so easy. Sometimes we take for granted how intense these courses are, how brutal they get, especially as the race goes on. So yeah, Johnny Gerard in a tough spot. Obviously wants to push and try to get to the rider in front of him, but he doesn't want to push too hard and make a mistake because he knows he's got pressure coming behind.
Looking at the monster mile here, mile marker number 12. Leaders due in here in about 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes. We'll get our eyes on Ben Kelly. Now, last time around, Ben Kelly, when he was behind Ricky Russell, he ran a 32:10.04. Let's see, because we did mention, hey, he's wicked it up. He's picking up the pace, which we can see physically on the track because he's got that gap between him and his teammate, Johnny Gerard. Let's see what he runs. Let's see. Obviously, he's going to beat that 32:10. No doubt.
Yeah, definitely expecting to see Ben pick the pace up. The question is, how much of a difference do we really expect to see? He's kind of been fighting gaps and everything so far this race, but this is the first time he's out front and really just got the ability to do what he does best. Try to check out. There's Caleb Russell there scoping things out as well.
And I believe that might be Ryder Lafferty coming through, your leader of the XC2 class.
And Lafferty really, as of right now, in control of this XC2 race.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a confidence. Hey, 1 win, that's a confidence boost. 2 wins. You thought you had a target on your back before. There is Grant Baylor of the XC1 on that Kawasaki. And are we following leaders?
Might be Stu Baylor.
Oh, I think that is Stu. Yep, that's Stu.
Yeah, so looking like we're following the Rocky Mountain ATV-MC Teely Energy KTM last round's winner, Stu Baylor. And Stu's really, you can kind of tell the sense of urgency just by the riding style. Not quite as smooth, not quite as picturesque, if you will. Legs hanging off the side of the bike, throttle arm down, just going.
Yeah, pushing right now. It's time. It is time. 4 laps completed. Yeah, Ben Kelly's checked in. 32:06. So, you know, shaved a few seconds off of that. Obviously rolling. a 306 compared to the 310. So, but consistent. How about that? I mean, you run a 3-hour race in the sands of Florida. You expect to see some variation in the laps. Yeah, you do, by 4 seconds.
Well, and with an injured leg as well on top of that.
Leg. The man's he's a machine. Ben Kelly's a machine, man.
Yeah,
there's another machine on screen in Stu.
Without a doubt. I feel like Stu's more the loud, proud. It's just the diesel. I like that. I feel like that's the perfect way to get it.
Man.
And we saw him get warmed up. Maybe had to smack himself in the head with something, smack a tree or something. Get into race shape. As now Stu comes through getting the white flag, I believe.
White flag, yeah, correct.
Around, so
splash of water off the back. That's got to feel good.
It always looks like they're like slapping them on the shoulder or something. They're actually throwing water on these guys, trying to keep them cool.
Stand there with a 5-gallon bucket, man. Let's do this.
Need the little pressure wash thing that you can carry around and just pressurize, spray some water on them.
That's it. Yeah, watching Stu Baylor.
And you see as this race has gone on, the riders starting to move to the outside lines, flowing a little bit more.
So yeah, was just about to touch on that. Pretty obvious, Johnny Gerard's gone down somewhere. Had some trouble, gotten hung up because obviously Kelly's in, Baylor's in. Craig DeLong has actually checked in the number 3 spot. And let's see. There's Ricky Russell's checked in. Still no Johnny Gerard. So Johnny Gerard falling off.
Tough break, too. What a race he was
that's
having.
heartbreaking.
I mean, the 2 Red Bull FMF KTM riders pretty much seemed locked together for majority of this. Hopefully Johnny's okay. But how about Stu Baylor? I mean, really, things did not look good there on that first lap. Now sitting in the 2nd place spot. Stu really coming to life here in the closing stages.
You know, it's going to be interesting. Also, again, Ashburn's checked in now. Still no Johnny Gerard. But, you know, here we go.
That's Ben Kelly.
Okay, that's Ben.
Stopping
Splash
right there.
of fuel. Let's see. Now, you got to think Stu's got to come in and do the same thing.
Yep,
Maggie Duvall saying, come on, Ben.
Just enough. Getting them to the finish, grabbing some hydration as well.
Yep, Teely Energy Pits is ready.
Yep.
For Stu.
Going to get a cool shot here, see exactly. The whole crew gets ready.
Oh, hey, Nick V. Nick V's the man. Nick V is the man.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we inform if we can catch Johnny Gerard, we'll get him on film or on TV here for you. But again, back to Stu Baylor. Let's not count our chickens before they hatch. He's got to get in. He's got to get a podium. He's got to fight for the win, whatever the case is when it plays out. White flag lap. One thing, it's going to tie Stu and Ben in points. This sounds like a couple of years ago, a broken record. But also with Stu, you know, we brought back the Monster Energy pre-race reports. Go down there. We powwow with the pro riders, get their thoughts on today's race. Stu is MIA. Wasn't really like him. He was in the trailer, you know, chilling, catching some sleep, not sure what. And then on the start, he was late to the start. Not like him at all either. So my thought, and with the bad start he had, I thought, man, maybe Stu feels under the weather.
Well, Mikey,
maybe he just wanted to stay in the AC as long as possible. Whatever the case is, something was off with Stu at the start of this one.
Now, I'm not sure whether he was in the trailer when you were first trying to get a hold of him, but I did see Stu. He was out on an e-bike riding the track, riding the trail.
Maybe he was just
really, really late into the WXC class. I was actually really surprised to see him come by on the bicycle, still in his street clothes, wasn't even in gear. So maybe just a little behind the 8 ball, but as far as I could tell, he looked ready to go.
So but he's doing it now. We know that.
And Stu Baylor working there in South Carolina at the Shoals. He came up and was actually checking on some of his youth riders as well, seeing how they finished. So definitely think Stu is feeling all right. He's just, even here in the race, he's just waiting till the last second. He wants to keep us on our toes. So Stu Baylor making it happen here with just about 50 minutes left. 3 hours. It just sounds incredible to say it. Such a long time out here getting beat up. The drone shots, you're getting to see the slicing and dicing, but you cannot see the size of these sand whoops that are pretty much around the entire course.
Got a glimpse of that as a Jordan Ashburn on screen right there. Just as Stu Baylor was ducking back into the woods there, you could just get an example of how choppy it was getting right through there.
really starting to see your lead guys look just to the left and right of the main lines, oftentimes using the very edge of the track where they're able to find just a little bit of smooth real estate. And especially if you're not in a close battle and you're able to kind of take the preferred lines rather than the protective lines. As we see Ben Kelly there, he's looking pretty smooth. Doesn't seem to matter. He had some competition there. Was that one of the Racing TV drones?
That might have actually been Ian Howes out there.
That is a good day. When the only person you're really worried about racing is the drone, you're doing something right.
Shout out to Ian Howes. He's one bad dude, man. Ian Howes, actually, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he is our first official drone operator back in the day. He was a young pup. He was, still wet behind the ears, a little maybe 16, 17-year-old baby boy. And now he's out here. He's doing it. Love it. Love his stuff. Good dude.
Not only the following shots, but those overview shots, just to capture how extreme and how packed all of these GNCC events
And if that wasn't Ian Howes, whoever was on it, you were doing stellar. You were doing stellar. Ben Kelly, clean air out front, doing it with, call it what it is. He's still got a fractured leg. The man's not 100%, and he's out here leading arguably one of the toughest GNCCs of the year. And I think most would agree, probably the toughest. It's definitely the most unique compared to what we run. We get up north. Now, if you've never rode a GNCC, you may say, well, snowshoe's the toughest, but our guys are used to the rock. That's like the bread and butter for them, right? It is tough, there is no doubt, but something about the sand and the palmettos that reach up and grab you in Florida is just another obstacle.
And I am blown away at the lead Ben Kelly has been able to stretch in the short amount of time, honestly, that he's been out front, as we are still waiting. There is Stu Baylor. So Stu still charging hard, though, looking like he's still in the attack position, really pushing. So I don't think Stu's ready to give this thing up quite yet.
No. Where is Craig DeLong? And there he is right there. Craig in the 3 spot. So our top 3 a little spread out right now. About 25 minutes away from seeing the checkers as we follow Stu Baylor on the Yamaha Live drone. By the way, Johnny Gerard, unfortunately, still has not checked in. Still waiting on a report on him. That's a heartbreaker. Johnny Gerard, high expectations surrounding Johnny, former, XC2 champion, and the guy was lights out. And, the general consensus was when that man goes up into the XC1, look out. And not taking anything away from him, I think he's still that rider. He's still going to be that guy that is up there and competing with them. But a tough couple of rounds here to start the year. Finished 20th in the overall in round 1. That's not a great points race. I mean, it's 1 point. You got some
especially
points.
Considering he grabbed the whole shot to start as well. So Johnny, definitely, that was what I was really impressed with here. He was able to kind of latch onto the back of Ben Kelly and just pacing. We saw it on one of the pit boards. Pacing clearly a part of this, being able to just maintain that speed. And so I really was interested to see whether he was going to be able to mount a charge in the final couple of minutes of this race. So really at this point, just hoping that he's okay physically and able to move forward.
Absolutely. Watching Stu Baylor on the Yamaha Racing Live drone, seeing him put in that racecraft, working left to right, inside, outside, methodically working his way around the lap traffic, and he's hunting. He's hunting for Ben Kelly.
Well, talking to Stu earlier, he said it was his favorite race. He didn't say he liked it. He said it is kind of like his favorite race, and I think it's because he knows it's brutal, it's rough, gruff, tough, and that's what Stu likes. He wants it gnarly, and he wants it to just come down to who's willing to lay it all out there, and we're seeing it pay off. I really kind of not surprised, but just impressed with how much ground he was able to make up there in the beginning when we first saw him. I think he was in 10th place, and so to work his way all the way up into 2nd, and it's not over yet.
You know what it is? Stu's that kind of guy, the moment we begin to doubt him about anything, it doesn't matter what it is, he comes out and he's like, I saw him slow.
Yeah, it looked like he was grabbing something.
Maybe water bottle, but it's almost like I swear he listens to the broadcast while he's racing. And he's like, okay, Mikey said something. Johnny G said something. Zach Herron, you're in here now.
Oh,
you said something about me, and I didn't like it. and I'm going to go out there and make you look like an idiot.
He just gets a big prove
you wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I love it. I love that stuff, man. I love it. Stu's the kind of guy you can call him out on something, and he'll say, hey, you called me out on this. I heard it, and I'm gonna show you otherwise. Yep. I respect that, absolutely. He's got a job to do. We got a job to do. He makes it entertaining. There's no doubt about that. Hey, Bo Jackson breaks baseball bats over his knee. Stu had his celebration. It is what it is. I'm about it.
Motley Stu. That's what I call him.
Go. A couple weeks ago, it got a little crazy there. Wasn't anything on purpose.
Hey, it's opening round.
It is what it is.
Emotions are high.
That's it. It's all been settled. And we're moving on. How about that?
Curious to see what the gap is doing between Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor. Both of them pretty much clean air in front of them. Obviously, Stu sitting in second place, but not close enough to where he's gauging off of Ben Kelly. Both of these riders riding their own races, you'd like to say. So interested to see the individual paces, whether Stu's able to close in at all, or like Adam Gordon said before, seemed like every time Ben Kelly speeds up, Stu Baylor starts to speed up. So it might just be neck and neck all the way to the line.
In tune. I mean, you think about it. These guys are sharp. A lot of them, they train together, things like that. Obviously, they're racing together, so you learn. If you're Stu Baylor or you're Ben Kelly, Ricky Russell, Ashburn, you're circling guys' names at the start of the year. If I don't win, I need to finish in front of this guy. I know what this guy's going to do. So Stu knows, I see the white flag, okay, it's go time. Because Ben Kelly sees the white flag, and he knows it's go time. So you have to match that intensity. And in these situations, my hat's off to both of them because, like you said, they're on that island. They're by themselves. There's no one to key off of. There's no one behind you pushing you. Ooh, little mistake there by Stu, and gets back on it. But
well, and we see it in the amateurs too. Such big gaps can be made or lost in the course of a lap. Whereas with these guys, it's kind of a game of inches. They're all such great athletes, and at that top level, you're really fighting tooth and nail for inches here and there.
Ricky Russell on screen. We welcome back into the booth Johnny Gallagher. Johnny, what do you see out there, man?
Yeah, just spent a little bit of time over in the pro pits there, and what I was able to see is a couple things. Stu Baylor came in. They, as we often do, they kind of massaged the gap. They told him it was a little bit. As we see, it was a minute 3. They told him 20 seconds. He's right there. Keep pushing. Stu, no sense of urgency whatsoever in that pit stop. You could tell he was like, hey, guys, I'm riding this one into the finish. I'm going to try to salvage what I can. He definitely looked, I mean, all these guys look absolutely spent, but Stu is done. He's cooked. He's got, he's a hero's ride coming from the back like he did. We heard rumors. They didn't really want to elaborate on it, that he may be sick today. I mean, to come out here in P2 as he runs right now, we're seeing Craig DeLong not too far behind him, but right now safely in that number 2 spot. We'll see how that develops. But that was the one thing that stuck out to me. The other thing, Grant Baylor came in, took a quick splash of fuel, stalled his bike, and could not get it restarted. It was, the bike itself didn't shut off. He actually physically stalled it. And as we know, sometimes when you take that fuel like that, it creates like a vapor lock situation. Something happened there. His mechanic, Joey Maurer, and team owner, Denny Bartz, pushing the Kawasaki, the whole team behind him. They got it all the way to the end of VP Fuels Pro Row. Still didn't fire. Then finally, they just collected themselves. Joey said, hey, stop. Take your hand off the throttle. They hit the starter button. It fired right up, and they took off. So I believe he did lose a position there. And one more development in that XC2 class, Jonathan Johnson having some issues coming into the beta pits, looking like he wanted to call it, and got off his bike, and they were like, dude, it's the last lap. Couldn't hear what he was saying, but he was grabbing something on the subframe and shaking it around.
Oh, no.
They gave him goggles, put gas in the machine, and he took off like a bat out of heck with the guys behind him pushing. It was, I believe it was Snodgrass was right behind him.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, he lost a little bit of time there, and Mason Simmons right there as well.
Jonathan Johnson having such a great race, too. It must be pretty significant for him to be willing to step off and call the race. So
well, mind you, that was all by body language. I didn't hear him say that. He kind of threw his arms up, pointed at something at the back of the bike, and I heard them say, this is it. It's the last lap, almost as if he didn't know. You saw him get energized. He jumped back on the bike and took off there like a, like he was headed to check out to Laterville. Is that how that goes?
Yeah, got to check out to Laterville.
Right, got it.
That's what Ben Kelly's trying to do.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job of it so far. But Stu Baylor keeping him honest. Craig DeLong not too far back. Ricky Russell charging there as well. So the top 4, and Jordan Ashburn not completely out of the party yet either. Man, Ryder Lafferty just looks like he's out there on a cruise at the moment.
Did you see or did you hear anything about Gerard?
The only thing we've heard is Jackson was there and was listening to the track crew, and they said, or someone was listening to the track crew, and they said, we are unable to find him so far. They don't believe it's an injury situation.
Well,
they think the machine may have just expired, but we don't have any information.
Okay.
Same issue earlier on with, not the same issue, but similar situation with Thad Duvall earlier on, just disappeared between the 8 and 12.
Yeah.
Popped up, bike issue. I don't know if we saw, but he's got that machine torn apart in there. Thad's actually riding his bicycle around. I just said, you all right? He just gave me the nod and kept pedaling. Not a happy guy, understandably so, but we'll live to fight another day.
Yeah, that's it. Healthy, one piece. Come back to Georgia. As we always say, Johnny, hey, the chase for the championship, the real racing, begins in Georgia. Now it's time to go to work. You survive the first two, and then we get to it.
I'll tell you what. I'm sorry, Zach. I didn't mean to cut you off. When you want to talk about surviving, today it looks
Pretty
like
nasty.
These guys are literally just surviving. I don't think we're going to see any of these coy remarks after this one, like, I could go for another hour. And I don't mean, like, I believe last year Ben Kelly meant that. Yeah. I don't think we're going to get that this year. These guys are cooked. They're spent. There we see our former XC2 champ, Zach Hayes. Looks like, man, that
XC3.
thing is XC3 champ, sorry. That thing is just caked. Like it's like he buried in a mud hole.
Yeah, missing a handguard as well there, so it looked like he might have hit the ground at a high rate of speed. And to your point, Johnny, survival. That's been the key word for the first two rounds. I just got to get through Big Buck. I just got to get through Florida. Stu Baylor, Zacho even said earlier, pace it. Keep your energy. You talk about Stu being depleted with that bad start. I really don't think he's had that option, riding at a little bit higher of a pace than I'm sure he would like to. So not necessarily surprising to hear that Stu's just going to try to bring this thing home with a silver.
Let me be very, very clear. I think at this point, all of these guys are in survival mode. It's not just Stu. My reason for bringing that up was, the crew's telling him, like, hey, 20 seconds, go get him. And they're literally screaming, go get him, which, of course, you want to amp your rider up.
Yep.
Nothing in the body language of Stu Baylor or, honestly, any of the other guys at this point led me to believe that they're going after anyone. They want to salvage what they have and move forward.
Well, it sounds like we may have some lethargic rider interviews after this one is done, as these guys are going to leave it all hang out on the track. Ben Kelly leads away, Stu Baylor behind, and Craig DeLong trying to capture a podium. We'll be right back. More GNCC after this.
All-new Yamaha YZ450F. Narrower, more compact, and lighter. Built to do one thing: go faster. Flexible financing options offered directly through Yamaha are available. See your local Yamaha dealer today.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida, where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees, and you're doing 230s, and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall, I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
GNCC Racing is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. We've got about 10 minutes before we should see a checkered flag in this one. Wanted to give you guys a quick update, Johnny. Gerard, reports are he is back in his pits in the RV, and they have got some medics over there, so we don't know the extent of that. Hoping, whatever the situation, not great, not ideal, obviously, but hoping it's something like dehydration or something in that effect, but that's what we know.
And we'll get an update as soon as we can. Yeah. But that's obviously when it comes to rider safety, we take that very seriously. We're not going to go over there and bombard them with the camera if they're asking for medics. So we'll see if we can get an update on that before the show closes out. We'll let you guys know. If not, sure, if you check social media, they'll have an update. But Johnny is back and accounted for. He was missing there for a little bit. Again, earlier, Thad Duvall kind of came up missing for a while and then was found to have had a bike issue. It sounds like Johnny's is a Johnny issue, but we'll hope it's nothing that'll hold him out of future rounds.
Insane race today. Ben Kelly found his way out in front after the pit stop by Ricky Russell, and once Ben had the clean air out in front, he's checked out. And Johnny, we've not talked about it probably enough. He had that nasty leg injury, kind of re-injured it, obviously not to that degree, but the man's, call it what it is, he's out there racing with a fractured leg.
Yeah, I mean, Ben kind of seemed to be keeping things under wraps a bit. He came right out and said after the National Enduro, he said, hey, ended up, I think it was P9 for the weekend, not what he was looking for. But he said it was a big ask out of my leg. What he didn't really kind of elaborate on is I think there may have been some complications. Okay. And he's spoken about it since then. But, man, he has rebounded from that to a phenomenal, P2 in South Carolina after kind of openly stating he wasn't sure how ready he was going to be and if he felt he could even finish the race, let alone go out and put it on the podium. And then coming into this race, I didn't hear him say too much. I don't know if you had an opportunity to speak with him before the race. I spoke with him off camera, and he didn't have any expectations, but he also wasn't putting any limitations on himself. He knew this was going to be probably his toughest hurdle if he wants to get back on the road to fully healthy. This track is so physically demanding. You have to stand up the entire time. You can't sit down. And it's just so much abuse on your legs. You're just absorbing whoops and chop the whole entire time. And as it stands right now, he's done it better than everybody else, despite obviously seemingly not being at 100%.
What's insane, we talked about Ben Kelly coming off of this race last year and what he won by +4. minutes, not seconds, plus 4 minutes. And that was the interview, breathing through the nose. Said I could probably go another hour if I had to. Now, I coaxed him into answering that question. He wasn't, to be clear, he wasn't boasting, wasn't bragging. That was me trying to get the story out. But, Johnny, you came in, and the first thing you said, this year, I don't think we're going to have any of these guys that have something left in the tank when the checkers flies.
Yeah, and I don't think that's even just specific to Ben because of his injury or Stu because of him having to charge through or, Craig up front early. I mean, you could go down the list and give everybody's reasons. The temperature, it's hot, 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 and the conditions, that rain that we got yesterday, we talked about it, it just made the course more choppy than normal. We'll wait and hear their words. Sure. But from my perspective, even just walking around out there right now is just zapping your energy as intense as the sun is and as hot as it is. I'll tell you what, in the Teely Energy pits I was watching, first time I've seen, they're dumping like full gallons of water down the guys' backs when they come in. Normally we see like, you want water down your back? And they'll have a 20-ounce water bottle and they'll get about half of it. They're like, the guys are sitting there and taking all 128 ounces and saying, yes, I want all of that in my riding shorts. Cool me down.
Please. It's
going to be lots of interesting shoeys on the podium later with all the water there in the boots. That'll be great.
No, Mikey.
No.
We do not hope so. No. My stomach, we're told we think this might be Stu Baylor on screen that we're following, and looks to be. He's a rider wearing a Camelback, which Ben Kelly does not, nor does Craig DeLong. So if we're following a rider in the top 3, we think this is Stu Baylor. Last we saw, holding solid in that second place position. 1 minute, 3 seconds behind Ben Kelly when they crossed the finish line at the lap number 5 complete. We're showing 4, but I believe that would be 5. 4 complete.
They're on the 5th lap. Yeah.
So they're out there on number 5 now coming in, and Ricky Russell still there in P4. Craig DeLong looking solid in P3. Both of those guys still within striking distance of each other and of Stu Baylor. There's basically 3 guys fighting it out for 2 positions on the podium. How often do we call this, Mikey? Somebody is going to be left off the podium in this battle. Ricky Russell obviously finishing up P3 at round 1. He wants to be on there. Craig DeLong wanting to avenge what he felt to be a subpar P5 at round 1. So I think if he had put it on the podium, be a little bit happier, obviously. But, it's all shaken out. And we talked about it a little bit before we went to break, but that XC2 class is really starting to heat up. Ryder Lafferty out front. Not a huge lead, but a pretty solid lead, 45 seconds over Liam Draper. And then 6 seconds back of him, Jonathan Johnson on that factory beta, experiencing some issues. He did have 42 seconds over Lyndon Snodgrass. I can tell you this. When they left the pits, Lyndon Snodgrass was about 42 inches behind Jonathan Johnson. So that one's going to be a battle royale over that podium spot. We should be seeing our leaders come through here anytime. I remember seeing this guy, and there he is on screen, the big 530 on that Red Bull FMF factory KTM. Benjamin Kelly out front, looking like he's got nothing but 2 miles of Florida sand whoops and still charging between him and a Wild Boar win here at GNCC round 2.
What a ride. I want to go back to Craig DeLong. Was not happy after Big Buck, like you said, not happy. And he mentioned that at the end of last season at Ironman. I asked him, are you ready to go from battling for podiums to battling for wins? And he's like, yeah, I feel like I should be there with those guys fighting for wins. Not going to be a win for him today, but he got the lead for a pretty substantial amount of time. If he can keep it on the box, I think this is a major what do you call it? Mental win.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah, step in the right direction.
No, I agree.
Craig.
I agree, and it's one of those things. Obviously, you want to jump straight to P1. You want to win the race. You want to go from 5 to 1, but going from 5 to 3 or even 5 to 2 or 5 to 4 is a step in the right direction. So as long as he can finish this thing out where he's at, potentially move forward, that's a really good day, I think, for Craig DeLong and that Rockstar Husky team. Looks like Hollywood putting his mic up. Look, we might be waiting on the 5:14 of Stu Baylor, or will it be the 3:42 of Craig DeLong? 31 seconds is what was separating those guys when we saw them last. I think when we saw them last on screen, it was a little closer than that, but it was not wheel to wheel. Stu Baylor still in control of that number 2 spot. But I can tell you right now, this is more than a minute 3, Mikey.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to get to that 4 minutes, but We're at a minute 30 and still counting, our producer Adam Gordon tells us, so he has continued to open it up on this final lap of racing.
Adam Gordon got that trick from you, Johnny. Johnny used to get the stopwatch out. He'd like watch a tree or the monster can. And
oh, we got him coming. We got an arm waving. There he is, Stu Baylor, the 514. Little more sense of urgency, so we got to wonder, is there going to be a 342 of Craig DeLong coming soon, or has he gotten pit boards that he was coming? Because that is a man on a charge right there, and he does not want to give up that P2. He wants to hang on to it all the way to the finish.
What goes through your head in this moment? Is it just finish, just get to the finish, just get to the finish?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Stu Baylor's a warrior, man. This guy is so tough. Even if he was under the weather, which we'll have to wait to hear from him if he was, you know, he's gonna push this thing all the way to the finish, keeping the points tight. There it is, the 342 of Craig DeLong in that third place position, pushing right to the end, taking a look over his shoulder. Maybe potentially he's thinking, hey, you know, Jordan was able to zap me at the end of Big Buck. I don't want that to happen again, because this time it would be Ricky Russell, but he definitely does not want to give up that podium that he's worked so hard to keep himself in that position all day today.
Well, Craig DeLong just rolled through right there, the 342, and here comes Ricky Russell.
And looking like he wanted some water there. You can see he threw it on him. So Ricky Russell not far behind Craig, still within striking distance. Our producer Adam Gordon just asked the question, with the points being tied, if they finish like they are, with Stu Baylor going 1-2, Ben Kelly going 2-1, if things finish up that way, that would give us a tied race for the championship. Could they both run reverse number plates? The answer is yes. We've seen that before, where two riders tied for points both run reverse number plates. If they so choose to, they both would be eligible.
The mental chess game begins. The mental chess game begins.
Well, and interestingly enough, if you think about the fact that at one point earlier today, you know, the way they were running, we could have potentially seen a three-rider points tie, because Stu was a little ways back.
Yeah,
Craig was running up front, and Ben Kelly was kind of in the middle there. If it would have worked out, we could have seen a three-way tie for the points lead. Much similar to the way it was last night watching Supercross. At one point, the way they ran, you could have had 3 points leaders tied leaving the race. So that's good racing. Here we see Ben Kelly on screen, following on a Yamaha live drone. Nice green foliage here down in Florida in the month of March. So if you're at home and you're watching from the cold of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Alaska, somewhere horrible, you should be down here
Quebec.
in Florida. Enjoy, Quebec.
We got some folks up there.
Enjoying the Florida sunshine. It's a beautiful day here. Pretty sure it's 114 degrees out there with the sun factor.
It's nuts. Ben Kelly on screen, watching him as the drone struggles to even keep up with the man. Ringing it out. Less than a minute now, less than 30 seconds away from coming into the finish. Now, Ben's checked up a little bit on this last lap.
Now this is it. This is the final stretch right here. He goes down this. He's got some whoops. It's going to bend to the left. He's going to bend back to the right. And then we're going to see him coming through those final chicanes. There you see, there is the finish line. Ben Kelly going to mark off the Wild Boar GNCC as a success and as a win here today, Mikey.
My goodness. So slows down a little on the last lap, comes in a little bit late compared to what he did, but doesn't matter. He knew exactly where he needed to be, and there is the win for the 530 factory KTM ride of Ben Kelly. Gotta be feeling good about this one. Get that man some water on the back. Yeah, you can see it, Johnny. That's an exhausted man right there.
I mean, spent. He's got to be, you know, the pain tolerance that he's put himself through. And all these guys have. I mean, absolute warriors. GNCC racing is tough, Mikey. The Wild Boar GNCC takes tough to another level.
Amen. Amen. Auntie there to congratulate Ben Kelly on the win.
You can see him shaking his head, but there comes the smile. That was absolutely impressive, start to finish. Just put himself in good positions, made good decisions, and just kept pushing the pace. Didn't really seem to be a matter of speed. It was, you can see, look at the off balance there. I mean, it just goes to show how much he's fighting through out there. That's not an act, folks.
No.
He's walking around on a fractured leg and was able to get the job done here today. What an impressive ride for Ben Kelly.
That's a warrior right there, man. That is a man. That is a grown man.
See if we can get a word in with him.
There,
looks
get
like
that man in the shade.
Yeah,
and this
having a seat.
Yeah, him and the pointer right there, chilling in the shade. And this is going to be the common sight after this checkered flag flies for the rest of them. But Ben Kelly's still finding a way to smile.
Well, I mean, you got
hurts a little less after taking a win, right?
What did we talk about after the race at Big Buck? Ben, stated on the podium and said, and anyone that asked, like, how did you manage that, knowing how much pain he was in, and he just said, I decided once I got going that I could make it. I could finish this race, and if I'm gonna finish the race and I'm gonna push myself through the pain, I want to get the maximum reward I possibly can for doing that. Speaking of pushing, this guy pushing all the way to the finish. I think this is Stu Baylor. It appears to be. It is a rough start for the day. There was at points we questioned would he even make it to the finish. Not only does he make it, remains a co-points leader. Stu Baylor, P2 on the day here at the Wild Boar GNCC, coming across the line, salvaging the points for the day to keep himself in the fight for that championship. Tied now in the points with Ben Kelly, trading up wins and trading up second place finishes here through 2 rounds.
So it is unofficially official. We got to clarify, let's be honest here. 2 minutes and 12 seconds was the time gap between Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor for the second place position.
There is Craig DeLong.
And Craig
he has
just
crossed
checked
the
in,
line.
so there you go.
On the podium for Craig. You can see Stu, plenty of water down his back. Again, the mental toughness it took to push through that. We'll have to hear from him if he was in fact under the weather. Maybe there was speculation maybe he just went down early and smacked his head. But either way, to ride through that adversity, put it on the podium in P2, a heck of a ride today for that guy right there. Stu Baylor is a warrior.
Nuts. Craig DeLong checked in the 3 spot as we wait to get those interviews dialed up. I got to think those guys said, give me a second, let me chug a little water and cool off for a minute. That is completely understandable. Craig DeLong finishes in the 3 spot, 16 seconds back from Stu Baylor, and Ricky Russell's checked in the 4 position, and we're waiting on the rest of the XC1 pack. Jordan Ashburn should be checking in next.
He has not. I'm watching here on screen. We haven't
or
seen
Grant
him yet. It would definitely be Ashburn. Grant lost quite a bit of time with that issue in the pits. It looks like Jackson's ready for us with today's winner, Ben Kelly.
All right, guys, I'm down here with your overall winner, Ben Kelly. Ben, you won this race last year.
Feels damn good. This race is brutal, and man, every year you don't know what to expect, whether your body's gonna hold on or not, because it's a battle of attrition more than anything. It's whether you go fast, slow, try to cruise, it zaps you the same. So I had a solid race. I was sleeping on the start. It seemed like they went fast, and I didn't have my finger on the button, but I snuck around like inside, outside, inside, and somehow was like 6th and kind of managed the first 2 laps. Was trying to make passes, but at the same time I was just riding like real smooth, trying to rest my whole body. And man, I'm lucky. I'm happy it wasn't 6 laps. I didn't even see the 2-lap card, and I'm like, oh boy, it's gonna be brutal. But yeah, happy to have a solid ride, put KTM on top, and feels good.
Well, Ben, I've got to ask, did the injury bother you?
It bothers me, but it's more so just pain. I don't think it holds me back. I struggle with a lot of pain 24/7, but when it comes to the race, I try to just shut my brain off and act like I'm 100% healthy the second the flag drops. And if I'm trying to baby it, I end up crashing or messing up. So I just got to tough it out, shut my brain off, and yeah, just tough it out for 3 hours.
All right, guys. That's your overall winner, Ben Kelly.
All right. Unfortunately, some technical difficulties there. They were
so the folks at home could hear.
Oh, perfect.
Just me and Johnny.
Good.
So
That works much better then. Well, never mind then.
Yeah, that's okay.
So we didn't get to hear what Ben said. He jumped in, and we heard him say, it's not so much that it bothers me as it is the pain. We heard that part.
I did catch that.
We know we were talking about the leg, and then he mentioned he was just pushing, trying to make passes, and then we saw him put up the number 1 at the end, and he was pretty happy about it. So those are the high points. That's all we needed to hear, Mikey.
Hey,
he's happy to get the win.
He's happy. He's smiling, and we're going to see him go to battle in Georgia, and it looks like Zach Herron standing by, goodness gracious, with Stu Baylor. There's an exhausted man. They said somebody.
Sorry, guys, we're having some technical difficulties down here. Trying to grab a word with second place, Stu Baylor. Stu obviously putting in a lot of effort there. Man, wasn't the start we saw at Big Buck kind of towards the back end of the pack. But what happened on that first lap? We saw you giving signals the first time you came around. Take us through the first one.
Yeah, it was. I was on the struggle bus out there. We've had a really tough time, trying to find the happy median on these bikes. It was a big change and a late change, and I had a hand surgery late last year, so I wasn't able to start testing until January, and then you kind of get thrown to the wolves. So we're testing after racing, and bike was phenomenal at Big Buck, but different here. So we just have to find that happy median. It takes time, but Florida for the last 3 years, I've had a bike catch fire, I've had a bike ruin a clutch, and then I had a broken neck. So it's one of my favorite tracks. But with that said, I'm happy to come away with a podium and tied for the points. So just gotta get some stuff figured out. We had some of the biggest crashes I've had in a long time. I actually piled it up right here before the finish line and feel like I broke some ribs. So I've been short of breath. But part of it, we're gonna go back to the drawing board. But shout out to the whole team: Rocky Mountain, Redline Oil, Steel City Men's Clinic, MSR, Tusk Racing, Shoei helmets, 9.2 goggles, Forma boots. Sorry, wow, KTM. I need to take a breath. Oh, that hurts. Shouldn't have coughed.
Stu Baylor clearly feeling some pain here.
Tell Johnny G, I think I called the results for bikes and quads. I didn't see the last lap of the quads, but maybe he should pay attention a little more.
Johnny G getting called out there by Stu Baylor. Stu, get to feeling better. We'll see you next week in Georgia, man. That is second place in the XC1, Stu Baylor.
You guys make it, I don't know, you just make it a joy to work here, Johnny G and Stu Baylor. I love it.
We gave our predictions on the Inside Line podcast. Stu was on with us on Tuesday, and we'll have to go back and re-listen to it. I know he did call Bryson Neal for the win. I had Hunter Hart, so he got me there. I think he might be right. He might have called the top three on both days correctly.
Ooh,
so if that's the case, I guess maybe, you know what, maybe he had the win in him today, but he checked up and gave it to Ben so he could make sure he got the order.
That's what it is. Yeah, we'll start that rumor. That'll go over well. But yeah, nonetheless, I picked Ben to win today on kind of a gamble, so he got it done. Jackson Burrell stands by with Craig DeLong.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm down.
Craig, take me through your day. Man, I had a great start for once, and it was cool to be up front. It's something that I always kind of struggle with, but my mechanic and I, we worked on the starts, and we got them dialed down where the bike starts good. So got out front, like Nelko was leading, he was kind of sprinting away from me, but I was content with my speed, and I come around the corner, he was tagged up in some vines and stuff. So once I got around him, I was like, all right, I think I can get a little gap here. So I just rode in my comfort zone, and it was really smooth, and man, it felt cool to be out front for 2 laps. That was awesome. That was something that I've always kind of dreamt of and wanted to happen. So to check that off, that was cool. So when Ricky and them, they called me, I was a little uncomfortable running their pace. They really picked it up, and just took me a little bit to get pick up that pace. So once I did, it was man, it was good. I felt good there at the end. I'm happy to get on the podium. This place it's gnarly. So yeah, happy to get on the box and be healthy going into Georgia.
Good deal. That was my next question. Are you ready for Georgia?
Yeah, I'll be ready. The only thing is my hands are all right. Just kind of take care of them this week, and I love Aonia. I love that place, so I'll be ready.
All right, guys, that's your third place overall, Craig DeLong.
There we go. You heard it from Craig. He was happy to get out of here, ready to get to Georgia, says he loves that place. Heard him mention the hands. That's a potential issue for a lot of guys this week. Riders, that race week in and week out never have issues with blisters. A lot of times we'll see those issues here in Florida. The sands get inside your gloves, the moisture. Looks like we are going to get a word in with our XC2, now two-time XC2 winner here in 2023 already. We missed him last time due to some little technical scoring issues, but we got him today, and here we are with your XC2 winner from the Wild Boar GNCC, Ryder Lafferty.
All right, Ryder Lafferty, first in the XC2 class, how does it feel?
Pretty good. This one was hard. I earned this one. I let it for a long time, and I got out front and
pushed away, got a gap, and kind of was by myself. You know, I feel like first round I kind of surprised those guys, and this one I owned it. I made it. You know, I won straight up.
How do you feel heading to Georgia?
Feel good. If you can ride this stuff, you know, pretty good, and I feel like I did. Like it was tough and gnarly, but I'm just excited to get into the dirt, get out of the sand. Been down here for a while, so go to Georgia. I love that place, so it should be good.
All right, guys, that's your first place in the XC2, Ryder Lafferty.
How about it, Johnny G? Ryder Lafferty, did you expect coming into this year? We knew he'd be a contender, but 2 for 2?
I can't say I expected it. I mean, that's an incredibly, obviously, competitive class. We knew Lyndon Snodgrass would be tough, but Ryder, you know, really seeming to be the class of the field so far. Grant Davis, 10.08, coming in P4 in that XC2 class. Liam Draper, second. Lyndon Snodgrass, third. Grant Davis, fourth. So a great ride for him. Grant Baylor ending up finishing out there in that 6th place spot, so he didn't lose a position. Jordan Ashburn in 5th. So those are your top 10 OA as they finished out here at Hogwaller, and man, what a day of racing it was, Mikey.
Oh, Johnny, it was good. Always a pleasure. Thanks for watching at home on RacerTV.com. We'll be right back. Not a long break. We'll be back next weekend up in Georgia for round number 3, the General GNCC. On behalf of all the folks here at Racer TV, I'm Mikey Waynes, Jackson Burrell, Johnny Gallagher, Zach Heron. Hey, shout out to Zacho and Taylor Jones as well. John, Nick, Adam, Matt, Nate, Dylan on the cameras, Daniel Rogerson, the drone pilot, our producer Adam Gordon, Dylan Acord, our director, the EIC of Jordan McFadden, and our systems manager Dan Reihart, and of course our executive producer Miss Carrie Jo Russell. Thanks for watching, folks. I'm Mikey Waynes. We'll see you at the races.